Probably turn the mics on for this one.
Probably should. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of The Keel Show. I am your host, Alex Keel. Alongside me, the inside of the insiders, Tyler Keel.
Hey, everyone. Look who's back.
It's me.
He's back.
Howdy, everyone.
I'm so proud of that.
If you're watching us live, you're definitely watching us on 12 Ounce Sports. That's on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for that. If you're watching us on the Keel Show YouTube page, you're obviously watching us there. But make sure to use the hashtag TKS at the Keel Show. If you have any questions, make sure to hit us up in the chat or in the comments during today's episode if you're watching us live, obviously, and we will do our very best to answer them as we go along with the show. Today's show is brought to you by Second String Leather Company. Check out their Brian's Demon Collection, big markdowns on 3-slotted and 6-slotted wallets, over $30 off the regular price. Second String Leather Company, grafted from the crease. Today's episode is also brought to you by mybookie.com. Folks, sports are coming back. Hockey exhibition starts tomorrow, which means that hockey actual games will be starting soon on the 1st of August. And that means that you can bet on those games. Make sure to use the promo code 12Ounce Sports and join for free today. On today's program, we'll be talking about the new Seattle team. And we will also be doing some play-in series previews with none other than friends of the show, Harrison Watt and Thomas Biondo.
Wow, we got a stacked show today, Alex.
Pretty good show today, I would say. I mean,
pretty good.
You're pretty good. You could say it was phenomenal.
Well, the start was once again. You know what? This is what happens, Alex. You leave the show for a week, and I forget how to time the mics because I can stay quiet during the beginning of a show when I'm doing all the intro. I've turned the mics off with you because you'll start blabbing about just random stuff.
That's false. I was completely quiet. I was quiet.
Yes,
for
because you couldn't hear yourself.
Well, that's not entirely true.
That is entirely true.
That being said, we can get into the first little bit. Let's talk about the Western Conference here. Okay, so we can talk about good old Seattle Kraken. We also can talk about the Western Conference play-in series, which means that we can bring in friend of the show, six-time on the Keel Show, play-by-play voice for the Ferris State Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, once again on the show, Harrison Watt.
Yeah, hey, right. Harrison, how we doing?
Can I say something about Second String? They're awesome. I love those products. I'm giving you a free sponsorship plug, so just make sure you record this and send it to them.
They're right here in the top right corner, right next to me. I made sure I put them on this. I got a sticker. I got Alex has got a sticker on his bottle.
I do.
He's got a sticker. We got stickers everywhere. We got flyers. I got business cards in my wallet, my Second String leather wallet, my waffle board. I showed that to Harrison when we were playing golf on Friday.
Oh, yeah?
Too bad the golf game was not as good as the leather wallet, though. That's for sure.
I went out to a local establishment with my buddy I was telling you about that had a watch made from Jimmy Howard's pads.
Yeah.
And Second String will be a soon purchase for myself. So if you're listening, this is your free sponsorship work. You're welcome.
Texting Joe Messina right now. Hey, Joe, we got a free plug.
A leather watch strap made from
Jimmy Howard's
pad. That sounds pretty interesting.
Look at the bright side. It probably still has, because, watches got the little notches in, so you can put the little loop in there.
Sure.
Still has less holes than Jimmy Howard.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Woo!
I was going to say, you better not drop it or it's going to rebound pretty hard right back at you.
Ooh, there it is.
There it is. You know what? We're talking about the Western Conference here, and I'm just surprised that Ken Holland hasn't tried to get him to Edmonton yet.
Well, look at the goaltending. They have Koskinen and Mike Smith, and obviously we'll get to that later on in the Western Conference preview, but I'll be honest. The goaltending, as far as I know, Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen have their groins intact. Harrison, wouldn't you agree with me there?
To put it lightly, Jimmy Howard would fit in with that group, and that's all I'm going to say.
There it is. Hey.
Well, we are going to be talking about the Western Conference here, but we have to first talk about the brand new, the announcing of the name of the Seattle hockey team, now the Seattle Kraken. They have released
the Kraken.
Yeah, they have released the Kraken. They have put out the pictures of their jerseys, what they're going to look like. They have the pre-order stuff on Fanatics, and I think they have stuff on NHL.com. They also,
Well, okay. So Harrison, Alex claims that he already ordered a shirt.
I did. I ordered a T-shirt and a
But you pre-ordered them.
and a hat. Yes.
Because Harrison tried it on day one. He made the mistake. He tried to get the tickets for a Taylor Swift concert the day they went out, and the whole site crashed. It was.
Yeah, the site was down right away. I pre-ordered a shirt eventually, but it crashed. Me and my friends were all on it 3 minutes into the press conference trying to get stuff, and it was a disaster. So good for them. Probably going to make some. Although it's 100% proceeds to local charity that first month, isn't it? So
yes.
I guess they're not going to make great money, but great publicity.
Oh, absolutely. And also too, you're automatically. They had the best record for. They had better numbers than when Vegas opened up their stuff for merchandise.
The fastest, I think, pre-sale on tickets. And this was 2 years. Yeah.
I think hockey is bigger in Seattle than it is in Vegas. They were excited for Vegas, yes, but you don't really think of Vegas as a residential area where you grow a fan base. Now that's happened.
Geez, look at the send-off they had. Holy cow! It was almost as good as Carolina's, Alex. I'll give you that.
But Seattle's been so deserving of a new sports team and a basketball team and a hockey team for a long time. They've been waiting for this forever. I think anything Vegas got was just going to be a bonus because I don't think professional sporting leagues ever really thought that, outside of bringing tourists in on the weekends to come to Vegas for games, that they were going to have a regular fan base. But the Golden Knights have done a really good job of that. But no, I'm not surprised that Seattle did so well.
So,
in terms of the deposits.
So what do we think of the colors then, everybody? I guess we should just go, a round table here, even though Harrison's on the phone. Do we like the colors?
Yes.
I would say yes.
I'm just making sure. It's one of those things do we like him? Because I like him. There was a lot of the flack about the red eye.
Well, here's my little soapbox about it. And I'll go back to what my
Alex,
original
you're 6'2". It's not a small soapbox. You're 6'2" like me. They're not small. They're big.
It's my little soapbox here. And I really do think that they should have originally went with the Metropolitans thing.
Give it a rest.
However, though, when I watched their promo video that they did, where they showed
when they became the satellite Budweiser goal horns,
they showed different parts of the city. They did mention the Metropolitans in there with some old photos. And now that I think about it, with the use of, and actually I figured this out when I was talking to Dad, the fact that they didn't use the actual a Kraken as the logo, but instead they incorporated Kraken aspects into the letter S, kind of makes a harken back to the Metropolitans, because the Seattle Metropolitans logo was a block. Well, it wasn't a block S. It was just a regular script S with the word Metropolitans in there. So it's kind of yes, they just have the S for Seattle, and they've got the Kraken in there. And I kind of like that because, one thing's no other team has that. No other team has where it's just basically the letter with the stuff in there. But you could make the argument that Columbus has the kind of C with the flag and stuff. But no, I like the colors. I like it.
Yeah.
The only other thing you could have done that would have been a huge cop out, and I don't think it would have gone over as well, is if you did Seattle Supersonics colors. See, there aren't any teams in the league currently using that exact color scheme. It would come out a lot like the Minnesota North Stars. But again, it's not original. So I think while initially it might have been, oh, that's sick, after a while people have been like, okay, you're cheating.
I will say this, though. I do get a remnants of, obviously the road Kraken is black sweaters. There will be black sweaters. But the home sweaters almost give me a vision of an early 90s, early expansion San Jose Sharks, though. That gave me a feel at first. I'll say that.
How about counter the, what's it? What was the Fishermen New York Islanders?
Oh, the fish sticks.
Fishermen.
Yeah.
Yes. Those kind of. Well, obviously,
that would have been hilarious.
The red is different than the.
Should have been a sockeye. It's a guy with the fish.
But it's close.
Hold the fish like that.
I'm thankful that it's not the sockeyes. So, I didn't get what I wanted. They called them the Kraken, but I think they did good.
You were not getting the Metropolitans, Alex.
A man can try.
It was not
the first team to win the Stanley Cup as an American team, 1917. They beat the Montreal Canadiens.
And guess what happened 2 years later? Alex, Spanish influenza. You can't have history repeat itself too many times.
They still won.
It's already 2020. It's already a great year. Dad likes the colors, according to the chat here we have. SPHL Rando asks what hockey is. This is baseball season. Not for long if there's any more COVID testing like this. Just saying.
The baseball season's over. I saw a great meme today.
Oh, yeah?
And
Yeah.
it was Adam Silver, and the quote was, sorry about this. We currently have 0 cases in the bubble. And it was Gary Bettman. We currently have 0 cases in the bubble. Then it was Rob Manfred. And goes, what if we killed the Marlins? It's just like, it's a dumpster fire.
See ya, Jeter.
Oh, my God.
Well,
Moving to Canada was the best thing any of these leagues have done.
I remember I went on the thing last week where I was like, why is baseball not allowed in Canada? Because the Jays obviously having to go play in Buffalo. And I said this, they're moving back and forth. They're moving around. Imagine being a Miami Marlin, being in Miami and going around to all these other cities. You're literally spreading the thing. And then now having the fact of having the difference is like if a player, like obviously they're waiting on Zdeno Chara's testing on the Boston Bruins. They're waiting. They're going to keep him off the ice for now. But here's the thing. If he does have the coronavirus, you can block him off. You can keep him in there and wait till he gets healthy.
You can quarantine him.
Excommunicate him from everyone else. But if he comes back healthy, perfect. You keep everyone in there, everyone's healthy, and boom. As long as no one, goes to any gentlemen's clubs or anything like that. Who is that guy that did that?
What?
Lou Williams. How many NBA players have been caught going to the gate to get Grubhub? Or Uber Eats. Just the NBA can't figure it out because no matter where they bubble, people are going to break the bubble. And unless you bubble in Canada where there aren't as many cases or no concentration of cases, you're just going to, people are going to get it. That's why the NHL is the only of the 4 major sports that's got it figured out, and it's their time to shine. I think it's the best thing. Nobody wants COVID to happen, but the best thing the NHL has done in years is this model.
And I said it I've said it recently. I have gotten a whole new respect for Gary Bettman, and unfortunately, I'm not ashamed to have the Angry August episode from a couple of years ago, but I've got a whole amount of respect for this guy, the way he's been able to handle this, and now, knock on wood, we still have hockey tomorrow. We still got to get everyone, the testing before the actual season starts on Saturday. But as of right now, knock on wood, so far so good.
So far, so good. And I will credit this to the NBA and the NHL. We'll talk about this as far as the actual. I would say arena, but the NBA, they're basically in a banquet hall kind of thing.
Yep.
Where it's just there's no fans, there's no stands. It's just basically screens. They are not trying to cover up the fact that there's no fans there. Whereas
the NHL has Hockey Mania.
Well, no, but MLB, at least on Fox, I don't know if it's on other channels, but they're
the virtual fans.
They're putting in virtual fans. They're trying to hide the fact.
Terrible. That's terrible, and it's inconsistent.
Right.
You'll see them in some spaces, and then they'll pan the camera back at the batter, and you just see all the empty seats. It's well, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it all the time, not some of the time.
Exactly. So, baseball, I don't know what you're doing. I've not known what baseball's done for years and years and years. That's why I don't follow the sport.
I just want to go back to Thrifty Thursdays here in West Michigan. That's all I want. Can we just get that?
Chris Castiani, if you don't know him, he's a Twitter personality about the Tigers. He said this in a video. Baseball, their mission seems to be to make the least amount of people watch it. That's what it is right now. He was totally spot on when he said that. It's you can't figure out the fan thing. You can't figure out the empty seats. The players don't want to play. The owners don't want to pay anybody. And you get blacked out. If you have MLB TV, you can't see the games in your market. They go to the most extreme lengths to make sure people can't watch the games.
That's a valid point.
It's unfortunately true.
But talking about some of the teams that are in the MLB, we do have some teams that share those kind of spaces. The first one we'll talk about is the Arizona Coyotes, Los Yotes, and
Yikes.
John Chayka quitting and stepping down from his position as the general manager of the Arizona Coyotes.
Hold on a
Steve
second.
Sullivan named the current interim general manager. Tyler?
Hold on. I think we do, for those that don't have Twitter, those that don't have Facebook or Instagram, I don't think people have seen the quote. We'll skip the Chayka quote because it's very, he's very, I think Chayka took it a lot better. Good luck to the team. It's not going to work out with ownership. We'll get to more why in a second. Alex, give the quote from the public relations, quote unquote, of the Arizona Coyotes. At least an excerpt from it, if you could please.
Sure. This is directly from the Coyotes. The club is disappointed in his actions and his timing as the Coyotes prepare to enter the NHL's hub city of Edmonton, where the team will begin postseason play for the first time since 2012. Chayka has chosen to quit on a strong and competitive team, a dedicated staff, and the Arizona Coyotes fans, the greatest fans in the NHL. Frickin' bars. Spitting him, it's fire, it's gangster. You hit him with it, and he's gone.
Harrison, your take, please.
Okay. Whoever wrote that statement did not graduate wherever they graduated from with a degree in PR. And if they did, that degree should probably be revoked. That came right out of the owner's mouth or into his typewriter. New owners do this. Like, they antagonize, or not antagonize, but they come in, they want to put their fix on things. I think the Coyotes had an okay thing going there for a little bit. And then you get the new owner in here, and you've scared off John Chayka, who, I don't know. My thought would be he wanted to leave because when new ownership came in, he felt like he didn't mesh with them. Now, if you're a GM and you're established and you have the swagger, you're Steve Yzerman, and a new owner comes in, the new owner's not going to fire Steve Yzerman because he's Steve Yzerman. But the new owner comes in and sees John Chayka and is like, I don't like the way you're doing everything. It's not like this guy's got the most pull in the world. I mean, what analytics tell a GM to draft Barrett Hayton over Quinn Hughes and Philip Zadina? Like,
it's a valid point.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the sway, so the owner probably feels like he'd come in and push him around. And I'm sure John Chayka didn't like that one bit. So I think this is an ownership problem. It came across very petty on their part. Maybe he did want to leave, but sometimes you end up in a situation where you realize I'm not going to be able to live out the life of this deal, and I don't want to get fired here. I'd rather just leave.
Well, it says that Alex Murillo, the owner of the Coyotes, received a Bachelor of Sciences from Cal State University. Doesn't say in what, though. It looks like in real estate, because that's at least what he was into. I'm reading his biography.
Well,
right
yeah,
now.
He doesn't have to be a genius in hockey to own a team. He just has to have money, Tyler.
Well, if you can somehow get rid of a general manager just by being yourself, I don't know.
Okay, but what's his name owns the Dallas Mavericks?
Mark Cuban?
Yeah. Does he know anything about basketball other than probably how to shoot one, kind of? No.
I don't know. I mean,
he seems to be a pretty good owner. You don't have to know the sport to own a team.
Well, there were.
I don't think it's so much about knowing the sport. I think it's about the way you intend to run your organization. Like, maybe the owner comes in and sees Taylor Hall and thinks, for example, it's just an example, sees Taylor Hall and thinks, this guy needs to stay here for 10 years. John Chayka looks at it and says, well, if we sign him, we're going to have to pay him, and then we might be up against the cap. And I don't know that he's so good that we want to be up against the cap out of one guy. Is this the guy that's going to get us over the edge? Maybe. But if I could fit 2 or 3 more decent players in under that, maybe Chayka's philosophy just changed with him. I would imagine that might have been a point of contention because I think smart GMs don't want to overpay people when they think that they're getting close to being competitive.
Now, but here's my question, though. And a lot of people that have been, talking about this, they're basically saying that as far as operations go, people that are in there right now, that they're working for the team, they're going to be working through into next season. So, there's not going to be really a time to stop in between the end of this playoffs and the beginning of next season. So, do you think that John Chayka should have waited until the conclusion of whether it be the Stanley Cup playoffs or until the Coyotes were no longer in the postseason? Or do you think that this was, a better time where at this point the team's gone off to the hub city, there's nothing more that I can really do, and get out when you can? Do you think he should have done it now like he did, or do you think he should have just waited a little bit longer?
Part of me wonders if he even quit. like part of me wonders if it was more of a "you're fired, no, I quit" situation. Just because that's sometimes that happens with strong-willed GMs and owners going head-to-head, and it seems like the owner's pretty strong-willed based on that statement. No, there's no good time to do it. I think maybe now would be better because now you can look into figuring out your GM situation before the draft. Or maybe you feel comfortable now with Steve Sullivan and you just know. As opposed to, let's say the Coyotes, God forbid, win the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's months of I get it.
Yeah,
that's months of time that you lose where you could be figuring out your general manager situation going into the draft in the short off season, and eventually starting to plan for that expansion draft.
True. I mean, there was some writing on the wall in this because I remember I was listening to 31 Thoughts and how there was a meeting between Alex Murillo and Xavier Gutierrez, the new CEO of the Coyotes. They had a meeting with Taylor Hall. Now, I've heard, for some reason, in the last 36 hours or last 24 hours, I've heard every story there is. I've heard John Chayka was not aware of the meeting. I heard John Chayka turned down the meeting. And I heard that there was a meeting, but I guess, like, for some reason, it was, like, impromptu. I don't know. I've heard just about every story there is. No matter what, Chayka was not in the room with the prospect of signing Taylor Hall with ownership at the same table with him and even the owner's son. Now, I don't know what the owner's son is. I don't know what his duties are with the team, if he's just kind of just watching, going to work with dad. I don't know. But
I think at this point, there's one person that needs to answer questions.
Wayne Gretzky.
That's John Chayka.
Oh, John Chayka. Yeah, that guy too.
He is at this point, everything's up for speculation. It's all rumors and everything. I want to know what actually happened.
You're right. John Chayka is going to be on the show next week, Monday night at 6 p.m. here on 12 Ounce Sports.
If he gets on here, I got a lot to ask him.
He did say at the end of his short statement, that he would speak soon. I just imagine he's got to get his lawyers to make sure the contract language is okay so he can do it, even though he's quit.
Alex,
absolutely.
Find his lawyers.
I'm not going to find his lawyers.
Come on, you're the marketing guy
here. If
he's
not going to talk to Sportsnet or any of the American people, if he doesn't talk to Elliot Friedman, is he going to talk to me and you? I don't think so.
No, Friedge told me. He said, "Hey, you want to talk to me?" He just texted me. It's like, "Here, you talk to him," because apparently I can ask. Apparently, I ask the good questions here.
Apparently. Moving forward, though, obviously without John Chayka, though, the Coyotes are going to be going up against the Nashville Predators in the play-in round,
the qualifying series.
With Coyotes being seeded 11th, Predators are 6th. Going into the playoffs, Coyotes are 33, 29, and 8, finished 5th in the Pacific, and Nashville ended up the season with 35, 26, and 8, 4th in the Central. Tyler, you first. What are your initial thoughts when you see this matchup?
Well, I talked to Louis Pannone a couple months ago. Louis Pannone of the Hockey Writers, one of the Arizona Coyotes beat writers for them. Arizona State grad, by the way. We talked about how that this is not going to be by the seeding. It's a lot closer. If you look at the seeding, it's not a 6 versus 11 matchup. The Coyotes finished 11th just because they really tailed off. Darcy Kemper got hurt. He wasn't able to rebound, and at this point in the season, you don't. And I think with all of the series we're going to preview today, folks, we should take into consideration that yes, no one's played in over 4 months. So we're just going to kind of go off what we see from the season and say here's what may happen. So take everything I say with discretion. But then again, if they don't do that on the show, Alex, I'm sorry, I don't even know what they're doing. Regardless, I like the way the Coyotes have played this year. If they can get a healthy Darcy Kemper in there, Vezina caliber Darcy Kemper, who is 4th in goals against average with a 2.22, 9.23 save percentage, which is 3rd, 16-11-2 record. Okay, that's whatever. But one of the best goaltenders in the game, if he can come back and they can play like they were back in December into this series, Nashville's got a real hard time against them.
Harrison?
Yeah,
I
would tend to agree. Arizona is more potent, I think, up front than excuse me just one moment. Arizona, I think, is more potent up front than Nashville really is. Question lies, that Nashville defense can handle a lot of stuff. I think the distraction of Jacob probably doesn't help. I think I would have picked Arizona outright had that not happened. But I think this series, probably goes 5 games. I still want to pick Arizona for one reason and one reason only, because they have the best jersey remaining in the NHL playoffs.
The Kachinas.
Yes.
Oh man,
but I do love what they do up front. I really genuinely do. As long as they can get adequate goaltending, I think they win this series. I just, for some reason, Nashville just seems kind of stodgy and stale to me right now.
Well, it's a valid point. I mean, as when you look at both these teams, they have, I would say, quite a bit of firepower as far as getting puck on the net.
but
So,
it just hasn't been consistent this year. That's the problem.
right. But you take these teams, they're spending training camp together, and now they're having to.
They're all bunker down together, little buddies, little camp buddies.
Yeah, they're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks to get, well,
No, they're
not really.
I mean, they're together and they're going. They're already at this point. They're already all together. They're playing tomorrow.
Right. It was
exhibition.
It was the idea that they should have done the 2 weeks quarantine after the spring, or not the spring break.
I think since it's calmed down a lot more, when the initial plan was announced, I think it's calmed down a lot more, the coronavirus up in Canada. So that's why they're like, okay, just come on over and go out and play, especially since they're all going to be in a hub bubble. But Harrison, I mean, Nashville, like I said, it's been a weird year. They have been above 500 with John Hines taking over after Peter Laviolette was fired. And yes, Roman Josi, Norris Trophy candidate Roman Josi, 65 points leads the team, but there's still guys like Forsberg and Duchesne. And for some reason, it hasn't clicked this year. But would a pause like this actually help the Predators kind of try to refocus going into this series?
I would counter and say it probably helped Arizona get healthy. I mean, I think it probably helped them get healthy, and they were in a slide.
Yeah.
You got to remember, before this happened, they were in a slide, so this stopped it. So now they get a chance to shut down for a little bit mentally, forget about how the end of the season went, because you see a lot of teams go into the playoffs in a slide, and it just, then they're swept out in the first round.
Right.
I think, if anybody, this favors Arizona getting healthy and getting in a better mental headspace. I would say for the aging players on Nashville, it also helps. Probably most helped Pekka Rinne, a guy like him who's got a lot of mileage on him. I still just feel like if Arizona is clicking when this thing starts, I don't know if Nashville can keep up, because they do have their dynamic forwards, but at no point this year, you're right, has it really worked consistently.
So you're saying that Arizona's going to pull out of this one for the play-in round. Is that what you're saying, Harrison?
I'm picking my Desert Dogs.
Desert Dogs, Los Yotes. Tyler, what's your prediction?
He
Who
says
is coming out of this.
He says in 5. Game 1 will determine so much. I think that's going to be the story for every single one of these series. If Nashville can kind of win game 1, and like I said, I know they're the 6th seed. They're going to have the quote-unquote home ice and round in game 1. While it's not a home ice advantage, they still get last change. They still get to, determine the face-off and for the power plays, all that stuff, and obviously sticks down first at the draw. That people think that's kind of dumb and kind of niche, but talk to any center in the NHL, any center in hockey, and Harrison, I'm pretty sure you can kind of concur with this by just watching, even at the NCAA level. Being able to kind of determine where you can line up on the face-off is very important as a centerman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I will, I'm Arizona. It's Arizona. I just don't know if it's going to be 4 or 5. If Arizona wins game 1, it's 4. But I think Nashville will pull out game 1, and I think Arizona will have to regroup. And don't forget, here's the difference between Arizona and Nashville. UC Saros has not been that good this year. So if Pekka Rinne has a bad game and John Hines wants to turn over to Saros, that may not be a good idea. If Kemper has a bad game, you can go with Antti Ranta, who has not been stellar, yes, but he's been able to come in and fill in when he needs to. So especially in a 5-game quick series like this, having 2 goaltenders that could be the number 1 guy is important. That's why I give Arizona in 5. I'm with Harrison on this one.
All right, both going for Arizona. I'm going to say Arizona as well, just because I love Los Yotes in this.
I love elotes.
Elotes as well. We love some street corn. But at the same time, I'm also the same person where I have a theory that Nashville should be in the East and Detroit should be in the West.
Oh, good Lord. We're not going to do this.
I'm just saying.
No.
Nashville would be far less successful if they played in the East. I'm just saying.
Oh, boy.
But if we
Get
want
off your high horse, you Metropolitans guy.
All right. Well, you want to figure out how Game 1 works out? Game 1 is set for Sunday at 2 p.m. The next series, though, is the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. The Flames are coming into this series 36, 27, and 7, fourth in the Pacific during the regular season. The Jets 37, 28, and 6, fifth in the Central. Now, the Jets did win the only game that they played against each other back in October.
Which was like 3 years ago at this point.
Basically, Harrison, you look at this series and you look at the different talent that both teams bolster, and you have some solid players on the forehand with your offense. You have some on the backhand with your defense. What are the couple things that you would say kind of stick out to you in this series, looking at it just straightforward?
As someone who loves goalies, I hate doing this, but I think the series falls squarely on the shoulders of Connor Hellebuck.
Yep.
Because you know what you expect out of him. Now, it's been 4 months. Is it fair to expect that out of a goalie after 4 months off? I don't really think so, because you see goals per game goes up at the beginning of seasons as goalies are starting to get acclimated. So I would think that might be an issue at the beginning of the playoffs. And I'd feel bad for Hellebuck if he comes out slow. Because the guy across from him, there's no expectation on Big Save Dave or Cam Talbot. Like, there's none. And that's when those guys tend to turn it up. And we talked about this in the golf course the other day. The expectation when the Wings brought in Curtis Joseph in 2003 was he was going to replace the best goalie in the history of hockey. He was going to replace Dominik Hasek. I don't care what you say. You don't get an opinion on this, Tyler. I'm sorry.
I'll second that opinion. You
Harrison, you said we got to have a show, and whenever the off season may be, in the fall or whatever, given our schedules, we're going to have a goaltender debate, and we're going to talk about the best goaltenders and definitely kick out Martin Brodeur. I love you, Jim Jackson. Loved having you on the show. I'm sorry. Can't get over Marty Brodeur being the best goaltender. I don't think so. Statistically, yes. It's like saying how Wayne Gretzky is the best player of all time. Statistically, yes.
Maybe that'll be part of the episode where we do the Detroit Red Wings trivia game.
What? We're going to do what? Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
But moving on here, I mean, you talked about Curtis Joseph. All the pressure in that 2003 series is on him because the Wings aren't as fast or as talented as they once were. They're old. They're going to have to depend on a dynamic goaltender. Then the guy across from them, no one knows who Jean-Sebastien Giguère is yet. No one cares. There's no expectation on him. Then what do? You a 945 save percentage in the playoffs. This is what happens in the playoffs. There's expectations on one guy, and at the other end of the ice, stories get written. Right. And I think whichever guy Calgary goes with, if they play loose and free, mentally free and loose, I think that it could be a problem for the Jets because I really don't like what they do defensively. So I would think Hellebuck's going to get tested. I don't know that there's deep up front as Calgary. They've definitely got probably some higher-end firepower, but I think Calgary lines 1 to 4 up front is probably a little bit deeper in talent. I think Winnipeg's got their hands full, and if their defense doesn't figure this out, if they can't slow up Calgary, who does have a decent defensive unit at times, I think they're in trouble. I want to take the Calgary Flames here, and I want to take them in 4.
4.
That's a valid argument.
That is a hot take.
It is a hot take, yes. Flames, I get it.
I also, keep in mind, 2 years ago, I predicted that the Flames are going to win the Stanley Cup, and it blew up in my face, but
you did say that.
I have a little faith.
Yeah, it was a little faith. Well, then again, of course. Okay, so for those that haven't watched Ferris hockey this past season, they began wearing a different kind of sweater this year.
I think they look good.
They do look really good, but they have a very similar resemblance, Alex, to a certain NHL team. Harrison, the Calgary Flames.
I may have designed them to look like the Calgary Flames uniforms because they are sweet, and I stand by that decision.
Let me give everyone, because Harrison's told the story on the show before. Alex, I don't think you were here for this. Here's the story. Oh, you were there for the story. So,
well, I wasn't there. I listened to it.
Well, you listened to the story. Here's the cliff notes on how that proposal from Harrison Watt went to Bob Daniels. Harrison Watt comes into the office there at Ava Glavin Ice Arena, kicks down Bob Daniels' door, and slaps a picture of Johnny Gaudreau, who beat Ferris State in the 2012 National Championship game, looks at him and says, "These are the sweaters we're going to wear next season," and stormed back out. Isn't that right, Harrison?
That is the opposite of right, because I would never have done that to Bob and remind him of Johnny Gaudreau. No, it was Bauer stopped manufacturing hockey jerseys, and Bauer is our supplier, so we had to switch to Under Armour because Under Armour is our other supplier for athletics.
Yep.
And it gave us the opportunity to redo our look, and I thought it was a really good opportunity because our red uniforms had kind of gone through some mishmash changes over the years, and I thought this was a good chance to get different. Our women's soccer program actually wears a similar type of uniform with the red and then the white lettering and the gold trim around the lettering and numerals. I just thought it was a good time to give it a try, and we got to put our logo back on the away jerseys. We had Ferris State on the away jerseys forever and just typed out, and I don't know. The guys loved them. I brag about them all the time. It's my favorite thing that I've done at Ferris, actually.
They were there at the GLI, which it was pretty cool for me to see as well, because I was one of the media members up there. I got to watch it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a fun little moment for it, even though I was cold and freezing in Little Caesars Arena.
That's fine.
It's a painful rink to be in.
I mean, but
back to the playoffs.
Kind of back to the playoffs here. Back to now Johnny Gaudreau compared to then beating Ferris Johnny Gaudreau.
Well, there was more than one player on that Boston College team.
We understand that, but this is the one that relates to the situation. Harrison's got the Flames. I would say the Flames as well, purely on the fact that I think that Calgary's just going to beat up Winnipeg. I think they've got...
Physically, yes.
It's going to be a matter of they're going to get in the head, they're going to get through the body, because let's be honest, even though I hate it, if you have a tougher team in the playoffs, you're probably going to be more successful. That's just how it works. The NHL does not call the game by the rules in the playoffs. Tyler, we just talked about this before the show. So in this situation, the Flames have the upper hand. Tyler, what's your opinion and what's your prediction?
Well, here's the thing. I made the comparison last week from Johnny Gaudreau to Kent Nielsen. And any Flames fan that knows who I'm talking about, Kent Nielsen, fantastic player, skilled with the puck, was a wizard. However, come springtime and summer, Alex, in May, he just wasn't there. He was non-factor for the Flames. Was not a big playoff performer. Johnny Gaudreau, I get it, limited sample size. Has only been in, I think the team has really only been a contender the last few years. Has been almost invisible, if you ask me, when it comes to the playoffs. He just hasn't been able to step up when push comes to shove. And I'm not saying it's a size thing, but he's not been able to step up physically, not been able to react well and come back and be able to fight through it. Now, granted, yes, you have guys like Kachuk. You have guys up front that can play a little bit tougher, a little bit more on edge, which will be big. Sean Monahan's a big boy. Sam Bennett, I know he's not been as productive as compared to years past, but he's a bigger guy. You have Luke Cheech down there in the corner, so they can protect Johnny Gaudreau. I think, you know what, as much as I love Connor Hellebuck, I, for some reason, just think I think they're going to go with Cam Talbot, the Flames will, because he's been a lot better in camp, and I think that's going to be really important right now for the Flames to make the right decision in goal. But like I said, similar to Arizona, Talbot has a bad game. You throw big save Dave in there. If Hellebuck can steal a series, absolutely, Jets will win. But if the offense of the Flames can get through a very inexperienced Jets defense, this series may be done in 3 or 4. I think it'll go 5 because I think Hellebuck will just steal a game here and there. It'll be tough for the Flames to be consistent on offense just because of Connor Hellebuck. But in the long run in this playoffs, whoever Calgary will have to play in the second round, one of the top 4 teams in the round robin, I don't think it's just going to be too tough for him. And I think that's what's going to wither down. Last year, they ran to a really good Colorado team. I think they'll win the series this year, get into the first round of the playoffs, the Flames will. However, for a deep playoff run, I don't feel so confident in Calgary there.
No, you're right, but you said it right there. Winnipeg's a higher seed, right? Do I have that right in my head?
Flames are 8. Flames are 8.
Flames are 8,
yep.
And Winnipeg is
9. Yeah, so it's 8 and 9.
Okay, so I got it backwards. But I mean, you just said it right there. Hellebuck can steal a series. That means you don't have confidence in Winnipeg to win the series you have confidence in Connor Hellebuck. And if it's dependent on one guy, Vegas betting odds would probably say you should bet on the other guy.
So Tyler, I need a definite answer. Flames or Jets?
See, can I watch the exhibition games tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Can we do a
No.
Thursday show?
Absolutely not. Right here and now. You have to make your pick, and you have to stick to it.
Oh my gosh, who am I? Oh gosh, who was the Saturday Night Live weekend?
Norm Macdonald.
After Norm Macdonald. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, guy. Colin. It wasn't Colin. Anyways, you're asking me to be that guy, the one host between Tina Fey and Norm Macdonald. You're asking me to be that guy.
That
Colin something or other. I don't remember. It was the one that The Rock hosted. Anyways,
I don't
I'm going to go with Calgary, 5 games. Just because it's going to be physical. I think, if Scheifele and Wheeler can step up, just watch out. I think they can get going, but it's tough to rely on a goaltender in a series where your offense has been inconsistent at times in Winnipeg, and their defense is very young, has been skilled. Neil Pionk's really come on this year, but playoff experience, that'll be tough against the Jets, and that's why the Flames will win in 5.
Well,
That's why you don't overpay for goaltending.
there
Never
you go.
overpay for goaltending.
Well, good thing you're not about to hear my predictions for the Montreal-Pittsburgh series. Hey!
Oh boy.
Carey Price for Premier. He can run for Premier in BC, British Columbia. He could do that.
Sure.
Hey, man. Be the only Premier goaltender in the NHL. Get it? Premier.
That's hey man.
That's hey, man. No, don't start doing those jokes.
Well, I mean, there's no controversy here, though. All 3 of us went for the Coyotes. All 3 of us went for the Flames. I think we talked about baseball. High heat, Flames, a desert team. It works out.
Wow. Says the sunburnt boy over here. If you see, that's why I'm sad that the video can't be super quality. Look at this side of his face. It's just peeling off. They can just rip the skin off.
It's not peeling. You're being ridiculous.
Buddy, that is peeling skin. I got burnt 2 weeks ago. It's the same thing. But Harrison, before we let you go here, because we only have Harrison for these first 2 series, the round robin. Do you have a prediction on who comes out on top? There's a lot of good talent there. There is St. Louis, the defending Cup champs. You got Dallas, you got Colorado, and I'm forgetting Colorado. It's Dallas, Colorado, St. Louis. Yeah, I got all 4. I'm trying to listen. This is tough.
Colorado, St. Louis,
Dallas, and
I guess I don't really get the round robin. I get that you want to play and be prepared to play, but I don't know. You fought for your positioning. I think you should get to keep your positioning, especially if you're St. Louis. Maybe give them some exhibition games. I don't know. I wasn't a really big fan of it. I guess in the West, you get Dallas, Colorado, St. Louis, and who am I missing?
Colorado, Dallas, St. Louis.
You're missing one.
Vegas. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Vegas.
There you go. I was waiting.
We're just
Vegas.
You got to go with the hot.
I don't really, to be frank with you, I don't really like any of them. I don't really like any of those goaltending situations. I never like to pick the team that just won the cup because that hangover can last. It can sneak up on you in the playoffs.
You're not a big fan of Jordan Winnington?
Jordan, who has not been
No.
doing a lot of Winnington this year. His numbers
No.
went down.
Exactly. God, I don't even know who the best goal. Usually, what I go with.
Listen, Marc-Andre Fleury's been inconsistent. Bennington hasn't been the same. I mean, who is going to be in goal for Colorado? Is it Francouz or is it Grubauer?
I think they're going to start with Grubauer.
I will say this.
Give me-
sorry, go ahead, Harrison.
Give me Dallas. Give me Dallas because it's the only goalie I'm not thinking of that is better. I don't know. I just don't like any of those situations in goal.
Well,
And in a short situation, I mean, they're only playing 3 games. You're going to need whichever goalie is the hottest. And I would think in just 3 games, Dallas, I guess. Dallas to win the round robin.
Yeah, I mean, they have. I think they're going to use both their goaltenders, both Hudobin, who, by the way, has the best save percentage in the league, and Ben Bishop, who still, I still think he's made of glass, and he's been able to have no rocks thrown at him so far in the last couple seasons.
Still best goal horn in the league, too.
That is
Just
the best.
saying.
Well, yes, because we're partial.
Yes, no question.
We're partial, Alex, because we're from Grand Rapids. It's the same goal horn. Now,
Yes, it is.
I will say this: probably the best goal song. Why?
Because it's a custom one by Pantera?
Yes, because it's Pantera. It reminds me of the good old days, Alex, okay? When I was young and Aunt Leanne would just blast Pantera in the house and I was happy.
Nashville has the best goal song. I have to say that.
Are you a Tim McGraw fan?
No, it fits them though. It's so perfect.
He does have a point.
It fits in Nashville. The song isn't overly cheesy. It's not like it doesn't shout Dallas Stars. Like,
I could start singing it.
It does say
Dallas.
It does say Nashville Predators, but like it's mixed into the song. The song works.
True, definitely true.
It's almost like me trying to think of the different goal songs that could go with Seattle. Because I mean, you have
gotta be.
You've got grunge music. You've got
Pirates
grunge music.
Pirates of the
Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, the Kraken is from was it Clash of the Titans? Is that movie that was? Or
it's in both. It's in both.
Well, the Kraken is just exclusive to Greek mythology.
I said it. If Liam Neeson does not show up on the ice opening night, I swear to goodness, I will not watch the Kraken at all next season.
Well,
I don't
that's
care.
fine because then
Or not next season.
I'll
the season
watch
they
them
start.
for you.
Because it's got to happen.
But Harrison, we will let you get back to the rest of your evening. Make sure to give him a follow at Watt Harrison. That's WATT, because all the power that he's got behind that beautiful brain of his.
Man.
Watt Harrison, thank you again. 6th time on the show. Thank you for being on the show, Harrison. It's good to have you.
Bye, Harrison.
Shoots and scores. Good joke.
Shoots and scores. Oh, man.
I thought it was valid. It was good.
Harrison, we'll talk to you later, all right?
See ya.
And that was Harrison Watt with the absolutely beautiful. I still love the fact that we still have the lovely and awesome dino sweater down here. I mean, down here. I have to show it on the screen down there. That was
not a sweater
or the suit, whatever.
That's a suit jacket.
Oh, just calm yourself. Whatever it is.
And you go after me for my terrible grammar or wording of things.
You say the word fine way too many times.
Because everything's fine. It's good. We're chill.
Everything's not fine, Alex.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have to go into the whole... No, I can't do the George Carlin bit because, well, there's a lot of...
Why? Because the 4-letter that starts with F?
No, because the one from Carlin at Carnegie, the first one that was on one of the first things we ever watched on Netflix.
Fine.
I can't
say it.
I don't have a beat button here, Alex. I haven't figured that out yet. But... So thank you very much once again for Harrison Watt coming on. 6-time guest. We have another 6-time guest coming on later today, Thomas Biondo.
Well, currently he's a 5-time guest. He hasn't been on yet.
Oh, crap. I jinxed it. Knocking on the wood. This is me knocking. Can you see it? I'm knocking on wood. Can you knock on wood too many times?
Probably. I don't know.
Oh, gosh. Now I'm really...
I mean, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
See, yeah, I know.
That was good. Come on.
See, that's what I'm worried about, beliefs. I'm just like, do I go... Because it's weird.
Who cares?
I listen. I want them
it's
to.
It's gonna be fine.
Stop saying the word.
Because
fine.
you know what the best part is about
what's
hockey
the best part
and
Alex?
About watching sports?
The fact that it's on.
We have no impact on the game, and literally there is no impact on the game right now other than the players on the ice and the people that are on the bench.
I want the Leafs.
That's it.
I want the Leafs to have fans.
There's no crowd interaction.
Have fans on the big board there, like a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to be on there screaming at the top of my lungs, but it'll be quiet, of course, because the last thing you want is me screaming, "Move it!" Because that's all I'm going to pretty much yell at people.
See, that's why I'm not going to watch the games with you. I'm just going to stay at my house, and I'm just going to chill there.
You know what? I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry you don't want to have fun. But we should get to the other two series because they're
talking about fun. Let's talk about the thing that's going to be fun to not hear when they play the national anthem. Clapping. That's right, Chicago. I'm talking to you.
Hey, I'm just saying, Alex. Don't count it out. You want to know why? They're piping in the crowd noise, Alex.
Well, they're going to pipe in the crowd noise, and for home games, they're going to be doing things that are special and specific to that
so
team.
they will be doing the piped-in cheering for the anthem when Chicago's got their one home game. Well, I don't know.
Yes, they will
Actually,
be doing that.
I don't know if
because
it'll be
they're
one home
bringing
game.
in the cannon from Columbus.
No.
Yes, they're bringing the cannon.
No. Pull it up. I want to see it. I want to see it with my own eyes. Actually, I don't want to see it, but because you'll hear it.
Sure. But no, I'm not kidding that when the NHL means that they're trying to make the home ice advantage thing completely gone for the hub city teams, so like Toronto and Edmonton, they're trying to bring in different aspects from every team. So that means they're going to try to, I don't know if they're going to pipe it in, but they're going to try to pipe in the goal horns for each team, have their goal songs and everything else, and try to make it their home game as much as possible.
Well, I will say this.
It's not like the NBA where basically it's just you're playing on this one court, and whoever's the home team, they just
Tyler, shut up.
They just tie.
Sorry, Tyler Burke said everything will be fine.
It'll be fine.
No,
It'll be fine.
Tyler's wrong. Tyler's wrong about deep dish pizza. He's wrong about everything being fine.
What's wrong with deep dish pizza?
He was on the Lou Malnati's train.
Lou Malnati's?
Oh, you weren't here last week. Yes, we had a big old fight about Lou Malnati's and Gino's East last week.
Well, he's got a valid point. Lou Malnati's
All right,
best.
Patrick Kane. I have a question for you. I know he's watching. He's definitely watching right now in his hotel room in Edmonton. Patty, Gino's East or Lou Malnati's? Throw it in the comments. Thank you very much.
Lou Malnati's. Actually, no, scratch that. Neither. You want to know why?
Oh, you're going to go on the Giordano's train.
Giordano's.
I'm going to go with C, which is wrong here, Alex.
Giordano's.
What is the wrong pizza to pick?
Because the
Giordano's
sauce is the best. They have a better crust, even though all three of them are really a casserole.
Let me take you to a text
Third of
conversation.
all-
Let me take you to a text conversation Alex and I had earlier today.
Guess what thing is not in Holland?
Giordano's.
Giordano's is in Holland.
No, it's closed.
Well, it's in
Gino's East would have lasted in Holland, Michigan. Giordano's did not. It was
What,
closed.
they closed?
Yeah, they're closed for like months, like before COVID.
Ah, well, you know what? They gave it a shot.
Alex is like, oh, they're the greatest thing. You know what they're in what's in Holland? None of it.
Yeah, well,
Alex,
actually,
so
no,
Alex,
that's northern Canada.
Alex
time.
texts me here. Alex texts me today. He said, hey, I'm going to bring over a frozen pizza tonight. I'm like, dude, I got plenty of frozen pizzas in my freezer. What the heck? No, man, I'm bringing over a deep dish pizza. And I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, throw it in the oven, whatever. Folks, here's the deep dish pizza that Alex brought over. The crust was this thick and a little bit of sauce on top. It was an anti-deep dish pizza. It was a thick bread with cheese and sauce.
It was more like a Detroit-style pizza, I will admit. However,
that would have been, well.
They also, it might have been just, it was a hybrid because you know what? It had the style on top as a Chicago style, but they had the crust of a Detroit style.
But
here's the thing: Detroit-style pizza is considered deep dish because it's cooked in a, wait for it, a deep dish. It's not cooked in a charcoal.
Alex, we're gonna do
charcoal oven.
You know what I'm gonna do, Alex? I'm gonna bring you over to Buddy's over in Detroit, the first ever Buddy's. I'm gonna have you walk into the kitchen and say, hey. What if you guys did a hybrid pizza with Chicago deep dish? You would be thrown out escortedly promptly onto Grand River Avenue. Now, if you went down to Chicago,
or
go to Giordano's. Go to your Giordano's in Chicago, Alex. Authentic Giordano's, the first one ever, not the one we went to, the first one ever. And go in there and say, hey, what if you guys combine with Detroit? You'd be thrown into the lake.
Or what I could do is if we go to Detroit, I could actually get one of the only good things that have came out of Detroit as far as food goes, and that's a Coney dog.
See, I'm not. I don't know if it's because I'm more of a hamburger to hot dog guy. I like Coney's.
No. It's not hamburger to hot dog thing. No. It's Coney dog versus American chili dog.
See, I like Coney dogs, but I don't Jones for them. I'll say this: I Jones over. Now, breakfast food's different. I will have mouth-watering. I will have my mouth water thinking about Waffle House compared to Leo's Coney Island.
Waffle House?
Waffle House, man.
Nah.
Rando, help me out here. If Rando's still watching. Rando, help me out here in the chats.
Give me some IHOP. I'd rather have IHOP.
We should probably get to the rest of the series because we're probably not going to
yes. Back to the fans that aren't going to be there cheering on the team. I'm talking to you, Chicago. Let me tell you something here.
We have half an hour before we got to get Thomas on the show.
I've got time.
We're going to skip the news.
I've got time.
We'll put the news and notes into the actual playoffs.
We've got
talk.
2 series, a commercial break. Then we're going to talk about...
we're just going to have to talk about it.
Well, we got it.
We're just going to jam it all together. It's going to be a massive sandwich, like pastrami with... Are we always Swiss or pepper jack?
Neither?
What would you put on pastrami? Mozzarella. Oh, mozzarella. No? Provolone.
None. A pastrami sandwich?
You can put a little
doesn't need cheese.
Doesn't need, but what would you put? Okay, fine. What do you put on pastrami?
You're asking me what kind of cheese.
Lactose intolerant Alex over here. Fine. Pastrami sandwich with provolone. And you know what? Maybe we'll throw a Swiss underneath too. You got to have a little bit of extra cheese on toasted rye bread. Slap it on there. Thousand Island dressing. Throw that in there too. Because why not? Oh, no, I'm thinking of Reuben's now. Reuben, corned beef, sauerkraut, cheese,
what? You can have
bacon,
a pastrami Reuben.
Zingerman's. What?
You can have a pastrami Reuben.
But I want...
thing.
I'm so glad that when we go get our dog, we have to go buy Ann Arbor so I can go to Zingerman's again. It's going to be
Ty.
great. What?
Why don't you just drive there?
Well, I mean, we have to go by there to get the dog, and so may as well be going to Zingerman's for lunch.
Well, I'm just saying, you've had this entire time. How old are you? Like 25? You're about quarter of a century?
I had
You've had a car for how long?
Thank you to the Zingerman's Reuben tour, I was able to get Zingerman's.
Exactly. So
But
what
I
got to
have a different kind of Reuben. I don't know. I like Reubens.
Get a
man.
pastrami Reuben then. Pastrami Reuben, old style pickle, chips.
Ooh. I'm getting hungry now.
Talking about hungry. You know who's hungry? The Oilers to win a series. They want it, and they're going to possibly get it. Oilers are ranked 5th right now. That's their 5th seed.
They would've-
Blackhawks are 12th seed. Oilers going to the series 37-25 and 9, second in the Pacific. Pretty darn good if you ask me.
Pretty good.
And then you have the Chicago hockey team, a.k.a. the Hawks.
We're not getting into that, Alex.
32-30 and 8, 7th in the Central. I'm saying it's coming, so I'm just getting it right now.
No, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna have the conversation.
We're not getting into this.
That'll be for a later date.
Now that it's just us two, our wits,
No, it's not. Oh gosh.
and a big bag of knuckles in
And
front
a
of the
big
net.
bag of knuckles in front of the net, and we got Dinky Doo.
We do have Dinky Doo. You may not have, but
We don't
I
have
for
Mike
both of
Myers,
us.
but we have Dinky Doo.
Nobody's got Mike Myers, Ty.
If I could get Mike Myers on the show, you know how happy I'd be? That'd be awesome to have Michael Myers on the show. Or Mike Myers, excuse me. Because he's a Toronto fan.
He's just a hockey fan.
Just because he did The Love
He's a
Guru does
Toronto
not mean he does not like the Leafs. Because that movie was...
I mean, it's kind of why they're in there, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't think that went all the way through, did he?
Who cares? He made a movie. It made some money.
It made... Well, they lost money because... Anyways, Oilers and Hawks. Listen. Did you go through the Hawks? Yes, you did.
Did I go
Everyone...
for the Hawks? No.
Did I just do the Don Trey clap? I just did the...
All right.
So, all right. The Hawks, they're counted out. The series is over. May as well just ask the Hawks to just leave Edmonton and go back home. Just because, yeah, now, by the way, Corey Crawford, who's back on the ice this past weekend, did admit that he had COVID-19. Now, here's the problem with that, because Robin Lehner was traded by the Chicago Blackhawks to Vegas, and Lehner had, Alex, if you haven't looked at the statistics online on NHL.com, his numbers were a lot better. And that's why I think the reason why the Hawks have such a problem is because we don't know what Crawford's health is. That said, Edmonton has been able over the past 20 years, Alex, to do some really, really dumb stuff come the springtime. Now, yes, they had a good run there with Tommy Salo. And yes, in 2006, they made it all the way to the finals before Dwayne Rolson got ran over thanks to Steve Stais. Or was it Stais or Smith? Anyways, regardless, gets hurt. Series was over before it even started, even though they made it to 7. Yet, they've been finding ways to just mess it up. And I don't think they'll do it this time. Not this time. Against the Blackhawks, they do have the advantage. And remember, we had Jack Michaels on the first live show here of TKS. He mentioned how deep the Oilers were compared to the Hawks, which he's right. Yes, the Hawks have Patty Kane playing at an MVP level. Jonathan Toews being, Captain Serious and all that great stuff. And you have a guy like Dominic Kubalik, who is a Calder Trophy candidate.
Kubalik?
Kubalik. Dominic Kubalik. Kubalik.
Yeah.
30 goals, 16 assists, 46 points, leading all rookies in goals this season. And you also have guys like DeBrincat. And yes, the defense is old. And yes, Seabrook did not travel with the team. But I don't think the Hawks are just going to get walked all over. They wouldn't even have shown up to Edmonton if that were the case. They're going to give it some effort. I think they'll get a game, Alex. I think they will. But
You think so?
Edmonton will win. Hey, Alex, this may be a 4-game series, and it may be close. If Corey Crawford can put a couple games together, 100%, this series could be a little bit different. That said, I don't know what his health is like. As a goaltender, especially coming back from an illness, especially an illness like COVID-19, whether it's asymptomatic or not, it takes an effect on the body. And especially as the last line of defense, kind of important. So if Crawford can't be 100%, the Oilers offense, which has MVP, listen, Leon Draisaitl MVP. I'm saying it right now, Alex. I don't care. But
MVP of the entire playoff?
well, I don't know about the Conn Smythe, but I'll say this. Ted Lindsay Award winner of this year, for sure. Leon Draisaitl. I don't know how you can
You have
pick
to
anyone
remember
different.
that Ted Lindsay is by the players.
Correct. Which is why Leon Draisaitl should probably get it. Draisaitl, Hart
You don't
Trophy
think
candidate.
Pasternak's going to get it?
He was not. I don't think he was. It was.
Oh, that's right.
I did the show.
They already
I did the
announced
show last week. It was Panarin, McKinnon, and Draisaitl. I think Draisaitl will
Draisaitl's
get it.
going to get it then.
But I will say this. Connor McDavid's mad. If I'm Connor McDavid and I'm the superstar, I'd be mad too if Leon Draisaitl's getting all these individual accolades. Connor McDavid may not just turn it on for this series. He may just kind of ease back into it. But boy, he is going to be a threat come the next round. That first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, the official round, he is going to go in there, and whoever they play, who cares? He's going to be ready to go. Why you give me that look?
Are you dumb? Do you think Connor McDavid is really upset that Draisaitl's going to get a personal award
Now,
or possibly a personal award?
And here's the thing,
No.
Alex. You say this.
No,
Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Here, no, you had your little.
I have a great.
soapbox.
Nope.
No.
I have a comparison. I
My
have a-
time to talk.
Nope.
It's my time.
No.
My show.
No. Hold on. Let me get my comparison.
Well,
here,
no,
Alex.
you talked for like 30 minutes. Give me a second. Get your hand
Hold
off
on
me.
a second there, bud. Holy cow, that was
No.
weird. Don't do that to your headset.
Connor McDavid
Connor McDavid.
is
Newmarket,
not,
Ontario.
He is not arguably. He is the best hockey player in the world.
Skilled.
He is the best hockey player in the world. Every sport is on the basis of skill. You want to say that he is the best skilled player, then he is the best player. Connor McDavid has won how many awards?
He's won a couple.
A couple? Yeah,
A couple.
okay. I would say that if he
Art Ross, MVP.
If he switched to defense for one season, he'd get all the defensive awards. If he played goalie for a season,
he'd get lit up. Yeah,
I'm just
don't.
saying that he's
You're
really
doing
good.
the hyperbole thing. I
I'm
appreciate the effort
exaggerating. He's just very, very good.
here. Alex,
That being
there's
said-
exaggerating. There is a bunch of just random oxygen and helium, and then there's you.
I'm just.
Way up. You're off the screen, Alex. Look how far you are.
I'll put it this way: Connor McDavid is so darn good that if he makes it past 2 rounds, he wins Conn Smythe. Period. He would be a player.
You have to make
not-
it to the finals to get a Conn Smythe, Alex. It's never happened
No.
and never will happen that a player.
It can. It can.
It won't. It's just because 2020 is a weird year. Now,
Connor McDavid is that good. Now, so you're gonna
now before
no,
you
no,
really
hold
interrupted
on.
me.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Your whole point
Hey.
is that Connor McDavid would be upset that Leon Draisaitl would get or is possibly going to get this personal achievement award. I think that's
Personal Achievement Awards. Plural.
Zuh. Fine. I think that's a little crock because here's the thing. At the end of the day, Connor McDavid is ecstatic that he is not the only guy at the show. He ain't the only cowboy at the rodeo down.
No, that's Calgary. That's Stampede.
It's still Alberta, is it not? They still got cattle everywhere.
Here's the comparison I was going to make before you interrupted me. Dad will probably get this one as well. How good Stevie Yzerman was in his first few seasons.
Hold on here.
Hold on a second. Let me finish.
Continue. All right, I'll see what
Stevie
you got.
Yzerman getting all he was
I'm
the
getting
Detroit
hot.
Red Wings.
Maybe we are talking about the Flames. I'm getting hot.
The best player on the team. Didn't win any Hart trophies because don't forget, he played in the 80s when it was Lemieux and Gretzky. He wasn't winning anything. However, early 90s, this Russian guy comes along. Sergei Fedorov. Yes, I'm making a joke because when he first came in the league, they didn't know how to pronounce it. Okay.
NHL Hall of Famer Sergei Fedorov
Yes.
should have his number retired. Sergei Fedorov.
I think there's a lot of people that are still salty how it ended there, Alex, that don't think that'll. I'm just saying. Anyways,
Not my pig, not my farm.
regardless, Fedorov became the superstar. Stevie Yzerman's numbers took a drop. So maybe, Alex, maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. Yzerman was definitely happy that he didn't have to be the guy in Detroit. He could put it off to a guy like Fedorov, the Russian 5. He didn't have to be the big-time scorer. That said, McDavid's an all-world player. At no point in Stevie Yzerman's career was he the greatest player on the ice. He was one of the hardest working and the best leaders in the game, no question, but he was never the best player on the ice. Best player in the league, excuse me. Like I said, he played in a very unfortunate time where it went from Gretzky to Lemieux to Crosby. No in between was Steve Yzerman the greatest player. He was always an all-star, always a player that was going to be a shoe-in Hall of Famer, but he was looked beneath compared to the rest. Now, before you say anything, Alex, yes, you're right. Steve Yzerman did win the 98 Conn Smythe Trophy.
Yes, he did.
Because I looked at it,
So,
I looked over, I'm like,
what's your point?
I don't know, Alex. Oilers in 4. That's my point. That's my point.
Steve Yzerman, if we're gonna compare the two captains, if you will.
El Capitan, or no, Le Capitan. Oh, are we doing English or Spanish? French? Which one are we doing?
English.
The captains.
Well, it's the captain and Connor McDavid.
Well,
that being said,
he doesn't sign autographs as the captain anymore. Dad made that perfectly clear. Actually, Aunt Pat made it perfectly clear.
well, because he should change it to the boss.
Yeah, I don't think he's got that big of a head, Alex. I don't know. Anyways,
He doesn't. He's a really nice guy. Anywho,
good guy.
both numerous times playing for the All-Star team.
Numerous times.
Yzerman, if you're looking at him, Conn Smythe Trophy. He won the Selke Trophy. Won the Stanley Cup a number of times in a number of ways. As an executive and as a player. 2008, count it.
Yes, he was on the staff. Yes, Alex.
Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. Lester Patrick Trophy.
Lester Patrick?
Yeah, 2006.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, you mean Lester B. Pearson, you mean? Because that used to be what the Ted Lindsay Award was.
I'll put it this way.
Pretty good.
He wasn't overlooked at all. Even in his later years.
You know what I mean? I'm saying that he took a back seat to a guy like Sergei Fedorov. To guys that...
So you're saying because he was exciting, he was fast, he was hot.
We're talking about what Steve Yzerman was in the first 7 years in the league.
I'm talking about Sergei Fedorov when he played with the Wings with Steve Yzerman. And, oh, by the way, this is just Sergei Fedorov being Sergei Fedorov. He was the master of the coolest looking gear. He wore Nike skates.
Nike white skates.
Before they were bought by Bauer.
Yes. No, Nike bought Bauer.
Nike bought Bauer.
Correct.
Count it.
I will say it. He's the only guy. The California Golden Seals, they tried the white skates. Guess what? Only Sergei could have rocked the white skates.
So, Leon Draisaitl, right?
I feel bad for Hawks fans if they're watching this right now. It's like, we are in this series too.
We'll get to you. We're just kind of, no.
It's over. The series is over. 4 games.
4 games? No, this is going to 5.
You think it's going 5?
Point of the story, Connor McDavid is happy that he's not the one freaking tugging the boat around. He's not the one on the rig. He's not the only one. There's at least 3 of them.
There's at least a couple other people.
Well, then again, Zach Cassian, he kind of is the brunt of the work.
Zach Cassian.
That being said, Edmonton Blackhawks, I'm going... Oh, God. I'm going to say this and I'm going to regret it. Edmonton in 5.
In 5. Why?
Edmonton in 5, because what's going to happen is Zach Cassian is going to be dumb in Game 4, and he's going to screw it up, so they're going to have to go to Game 5.
Wow. Make Zach Cassian the GOAT. Now, here's the question, Alex. Do you play both goaltenders?
Playing both? Absolutely.
Here's the thing.
Do you have the schedule up for Edmonton real quick?
The schedule of the playoffs, yes.
Yeah, pull up Edmonton's real quick.
So that series is going to start...
okay, so here we go.
It starts Saturday.
So we have Saturday...
By the way, that's a 10:30 game, 8:30 Mountain Time.
So you have 3 games.
They have a day rest in between each game, except for games 4 and 5.
Right. So...
Well, if they go to 5 games, you're sticking with whoever won...
You have Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday, and then possibly Friday, Saturday.
This is a great opportunity for the team, for the Oilers to do what like Team Canada would do. Give each goaltender a game and see who really steps up.
I don't think they should do that. I think what should happen...
We'll see tomorrow night
is
the exhibition games.
Well, we will see. But I think you give the first game to Mike Smith.
Concurred.
And if he plays well, you keep him in for Game 2. And if you win Game 2, you keep him for Game 3. But if you don't win, you switch to Koskinen. Koskinen will take 3 and 4, and then if you don't win the series in 4, you switch it back to Mike Smith for 5.
I'm just not confident in Mikko Koskinen. It's hard for me to get behind the guy.
It's hard, but you know what? You have to try.
Mike Smith last year, it's so unfortunate he was on a Calgary team that just kind of gave up by the end of that series because Mike Smith was
That's why you start him.
He was so good in that series for Calgary. It's a real shame that they were not able to make it out of that first round.
I'm just saying.
And they got beat by a guy that lost in the national championship game and Nathan McKinnon.
First 3 games.
There's more players. Grubauer too, I'm sorry.
First 3 games could possibly all go to Mike Smith. But if you win or if you lose 1 out of the 3, you could switch it up. You can.
Dave
and
Tippett's not
and
going
I
to make a
think you
knee-jerk
should.
reaction like that. I don't think Tippett will do that. That's the thing. Because don't forget, like Jack Michaels and I talked about,
here's the
Tippett
thing
coached
that-
Smith in Arizona. He's got faith in the veteran goaltender.
Carolina and Edmonton have this thing where they could switch it. They can if they have to.
They can.
That being said, I'm going Oilers in 5.
Oilers in 4.
Well, at least we can concur on
4.
the Oilers.
Starts with the letter F. Not fine. 4.
Last series that we will take before commercial break, we have the Vancouver Canucks versus the Wild. Honestly, I don't have a lot to talk about because this series I don't really have a lot of skin in the game. Not to mention I just don't pay attention to Vancouver. They've been both of these teams.
You East Coast bias individually.
It's not even an East Coast bias thing. Like
I'm going to text Matthew Zator and he's going to give you one.
That's fine. Because here's the thing. It's not the fact that it's an East Coast bias thing. It's that both of these teams have been sleepers this entire season.
Vancouver led the division.
For how long?
Well, shoot. In the Pacific Division this year, until Vegas finally figured out what the heck they were doing, it was the flavor of the week who led the division.
Exactly.
There was more Alex, let's put it this way.
Talk about the Wild West.
Have been more.
They were hot for a couple weeks.
There have been more lead changes in the Pacific Division, Alex, than there were title changes in WCW in the year 2000. I actually want to know that. Which was different? Which had more title changes?
You're right, Tyler. That's why Vancouver, being the leader in the Pacific, was as good as David Arquette being the world champ.
David Arquette, married to Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox Arquette.
Former WCW champ.
David Arquette.
Count it.
He was a champion. Wrestling.
I'm going to say, you know what? Screw it.
You give your take, and I'll go with mine.
I look at both these teams. I think Vancouver has a lot of upside. Not a whole lot on the back end.
Myers is old, yeah.
Jacob Markstrom is not the best goaltender. I don't know. Okay, let's be honest here. He's a good goalie.
He's better.
Any team, he's a fringe starter. Any team. You could put him up against Fleury, and he'd give him a run for his money.
I think he'd be able to start in New Jersey, Alex.
Markstrom is not a bad goalie at all. I don't think he gets enough credit just because of the Eastern bias. So I think Vancouver has a lot of upside. That being said, though, Minnesota, they have been a sleeper, but
they're a perennial first-round team.
They have that ability to just steal them. They steal them left and right. They're like the Hamburglar, and you know what? It's dinner time.
No, Andrew Hammond is not in this series, Alex. Give it up! We're talking about, which Hamburglar are we talking about here? Talking about Hammond
I'm talking about the actual Hamburglar.
No, from the cartoon.
Like
Okay.
Like the character.
Yes, the McDonald's character.
Hence the reason why I said they're like the Hamburglar.
I'm doing the Don Cherry clap. All right. Here's how the series is going to play out. I
wasn't finished, by the way.
What's your pick then? Sorry.
My pick is Minnesota, and it's going to be in 4.
Wow. Hot take. Now, Alex.
Hot take is Minnesota in 3.
Let me give you folks the reason why Alex would pick Minnesota. They were really hot at the end of the season. This team had no business being in a wild card spot or even battling for a wild card spot. Yet they were able to just do that Minnesota thing where like, hey, there's the playoffs. Hey, let's have 2 more home games and just shove their way up there. And it wasn't even Devin Dubnyk this year. This was Alexander Stalock, who 2 years ago had no business being in the NHL. Don't forget, less than a decade ago, he was backing up Martin Jones barely, and then he went to Toronto, got left in a hotel room, saying we're going to pay you, but you're not going to play. That's how it's going to work. Comes back, puts some good games together. Dubnyk falls off, and and then Minnesota, they kind of go, well, let's give this a shot, and away they go with him. They give Stalock a shot, and he starts playing well. His numbers aren't awful. They're not great, but they're not bad either. 20-11-4, 2.67 goals against average, 9.10 save percentage. Alex, you ready for this? 4 shutouts, tied for 5th in the NHL. 4 shutouts for a team that's defense has been missing Matthew Dumba for the majority of the season. I mean, Jared Spurgeon? Maybe they're probably one of their top guys. This team has been missing a lot of quality talent, yet they've still been able to pull it around. They have guys. Heck, Ryan Suter, old as dirt Ryan Suter, has been able to finish second on the team in scoring. Kevin Fiala, who I remember when that trade was made with Nashville, I'm like, oh man, just getting Kevin Fiala. I'm like, that's not a big pickup for the Wild. He's been huge this year. leads the team with 54 points, less than a point a game. I'll be
tied?
what?
Ryan Suter isn't second in scoring. He's second in points.
Second in scoring is points. 48 points. Yes, you're right. He's way down. He leads the team in assists, though, with 40.
Yes.
When I say
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Eric Stahl, who is 35 years old. All right, you guys ready, Alex, ready for the top 6 scorers?
Okay.
So Kevin Fiala, 23 years old.
Solid player.
Ryan Suter, 48 points, 35 years old.
Solid player.
Eric Stahl, 47 points, 35 years old.
Statistic nightmare.
Zach Parise, 46 points, 35 years old.
Also statistic nightmare.
Matt Zuccarello, 37 points, 32 years of age.
Should have stayed in New York.
Jared Spurgeon, 32 points.
Sounds like a fit.
30 years old. This team is being led by the old men of the team. Let's be honest. And then they have, after that, I don't think they have any 30-year-olds. I mean, Dubnik's 33, Stalock is 32. But except for Brad Hunt, those are your old guys leading your team right there. The rest are all under 30 with Greg Pattern, who chose not to be part of, right? No, Greg Pattern was hurt. He's still part of the Minnesota Wild. He'll be there with being age 29. I'm interested to see how the series is going to go because Vancouver has I will say this. I give the advantage to Vancouver in terms of goaltending because I think Markstrom is a better goaltender than Alexander Stalock. That said, looking at the two teams, the way they have played against each other this year, I mean, it'll be interesting.
2 out of 3 go to the Wild.
2 to 3 go to the Wild, Alex. You're right. And I believe the 2 games, let me jump on Hockey Reference here quickly. I'm going to see if they were both. I know home ice doesn't matter, but in the regular season it does. And I scroll down. 2 of the games were in Minnesota. So Minnesota did win on the road, though. So I guess you could say Vancouver went 1 and 2. They lost their 1 game at home. But I just Vancouver. This is the worst thing about them playing against each other. I want these two teams to do well. I love Minnesota. I love the state. I want to move there. I mean, the wife does too. That's because of the Mayo Clinic. And it just seems like from what all I've heard is a great place. Yes, a lot of rain and snow. I understand that. But hey, listen, they got a nice stadium there in Minneapolis. They got a lot of hockey there in Minnesota. It is a state of hockey for a reason, Alex. That's what I want the Wild to do.
Michigan would disagree, but they don't compete.
Vancouver, let me tell you right now, has been a team that has just been longing for a top-tier talent. And they have that in Elias Pettersson. Now, yes, is he leading the team this year? No, he's missed some time with injury. JT Miller has really stepped up, leading the team with 72 points. You have your captain, Bo Horvat, doing it on and off the ice in terms of being a leadership. 53 points, tied for third. And Quineth Hughes. It's not Quineth, is it? It's probably
it's just Quinn.
It should be Quineth.
It's
Quineth Hughes the first.
It's just Quinn.
Tied for the team leading points with 53. Leading all rookies with 53 points. Leading them all as well with 45 assists. Call their trophy candidate. Let me tell you. Oh, we got a few minutes here, Alex.
But
here's
the point. Elias Pettersson, yes, he did miss time, but he still is tied with JT Miller just on goals alone.
27 goals.
Yes, JT's got 45 assists and Elias only has 39, but even with the time off, he produced a lot. And
I was wrong. Pettersson only missed 1 game this year. I thought he was hurt. Oh, Brock Besser is the guy I'm thinking of, who still put up 45 points, only playing 59 games. My apologies.
But here's
57
here's going to be the quick thing that I'll throw in there.
You're right, Alex. Shotgun Jake Virtanen's going to put up 4 goals in 3 games. You're right.
Well, I was just going to say, what's the shutdown line for Vancouver?
The shutdown line, oh, man, it's got to be, I don't want to say Virtanen, but Tanner Pearson's been a huge pickup for the team. I like the way he plays. They still have guys like Jay Beagle who have playoff experience up the wazoo. Antoine Roussel, guys who are, like I said, stout men who have played in the playoffs, played tough minutes. Brandon Sutter, another guy. And you guys have on the guys in the back end. You have Christopher Tanev, Tyler Myers, Alex Edler, who has been there forever, with the young guy with Quinn Hughes as well. They do have Jordy Ben on the back end, only 7 points. Yeah, but you know what? Playing in 44 games, the old man's playing all right. The younger of the Bens. He's been there, Alex, and he's done a few things.
The shutdown line for Vancouver, quote-unquote shutdown line, is Louis Eriksson, Jay Beagle, and Tyler Mott.
I forgot Tyler Mott, CJ's older brother.
You got Apple, Doggy, and
Louis Eriksson.
the guy that plays like a dog.
And Louis Eriksson. Listen, Vancouver fans, I'm pretty sure, have given up on Louis Eriksson as well. But this is a great.
That's why he's on the fourth line.
There's a great opportunity for him to really kind of step up. I like the Gaudette, Virtanen, and Roussel line because Virtanen can just either be one of the best players in the game or just forget what he's doing on the ice. I mean, that's been the story of his entire career with Vancouver. But that said, it's a great time for him to step up because this team, I'm trying to figure out the last time they made the playoffs. They have not made the playoffs since 2015, which was back when the Sedins were still hot and Luongo was their goaltender, Alex. That's how long ago this was.
I'm still saying Minnesota in 4. What's your pick?
See, that's a tough part. Like I said, Minnesota was so hot heading into this pause.
But you have to think.
Correct.
Teams are different than they were 3 months ago.
Right. And that's why I think it would have been better had we waited. I mean, if we...
5 months ago, excuse me.
Well, no, 4 months ago.
5.
They last played in March.
Did they actually... Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They technically played.
In over 4 months. Almost 4.5 months. Almost 5. You were kind of on the right track. There was an F in there, Alex. 4 or 5. They both started letter F.
It's fine.
Fine is not the word we should use.
Fine.
You're killing me, Alex. We're never going to get to Thomas at this rate. Just letting you know right now.
Well, that's why we can go to commercial, skip on through our news and notes.
Well, the news and notes will pretty much take into the Eastern Conference preview, which does work out for us, I believe.
Which does work with Thomas.
It does work with Thomas because Thomas, he's back in the podcast game, by the way.
Is he now? Is he doing the Detroit podcast or is he?
It's starting back up slowly. I mean, he said it's like, oh, I'm just glad he was prepped. I didn't have to give him anything this year, Alex. Usually I have to here are some talking points. He's like, I got this. I don't think he did the hand slap though.
Probably not.
That's what I would do though.
He probably did the thing of, I got it. I mean, I appreciate the effort. I appreciate it. However, I do think that I have my own opinion.
Vancouver is a team.
I'm not saying that Vancouver could win this. I'm merely stating the fact.
Vancouver. This is tough. This is literally tough because I don't know who I want to win and who should win. Who is going to win?
Well, you just picked Vancouver.
No, I didn't say I said Vancouver.
You said Vancouver twice.
Minnesota, Vancouver, Minnesota, Vancouver. It's literally eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If Stalock plays the way if Stalock plays, I did a Midwestern thing there. I didn't S for no reason. Stalock plays like he did in late February, early March. I don't care how good. If Brock Besser's back to healthy 100%, Elias Pettersson, if that top line's going, it won't matter because he will stand on his head. If Jacob Markstrom can play at the high level he was before he got into some injury troubles at some points during the season, he could steal the series and make Minnesota's top scorers, which, yes, are older and maybe a little bit more seasoned, give them a tough time. I will say this. Right now, Alex, we're looking at experience versus youth and skill. We're looking at Stahl, Zuccarello, Suter, guys who have been there before. They've been in long playoff runs. Stahl, a Stanley Cup champion in 2006. And then you have a younger goaltender, albeit. In Vancouver, you have Hughes, you have Besser, Pettersson. This is their first experience. Now, yes, not the glitz and glamour of the playoffs that we're used to, yet there's still the big games on the line. Will the less fanfare make it easier on these kids? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. That said, because I got to get my round-robin prediction here quickly.
You do.
Oh, this is painful. Help. Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Vancouver in 5. Oh man.
I had to do it to you.
Vancouver in 5. There's going to be a game where Pettersson's going to step up and he's going to lay it down. I really think Virtanen's going to have a big week. I don't know why. I pull for the guy so much. And it's not just because I watch his younger brother play over at Calvin. I just think Virtanen's due for a huge series. 4 goals, 3 games. I don't know if he'll score in the 5th game or if he'll score in the 1st game, but he will score at some point in this series 4 goals in 3 games.
Final answer.
Vancouver in 5.
Final answer.
Virtanen. Don't let me down, man. He didn't let me down in the World Juniors a couple years ago. Shotgun. Jake Virtanen. Markstrom over Stalock. Yep.
All right. Well, that takes care of the Western Conference.
Playing series, at least.
Playing series. After the break here.
Hold on. We got to do our round-robin predictions still.
Do we?
We should we should at least, just get them quickly.
I've never really understood. What's the whole point of round-robin?
It's just so the teams play meaningful games. I think that's why they make.
They're in the playoffs. Every game is meaningful.
Well, they can play the lower seeds. Say Chicago does pull off a great upset. Yeah, you're right. St. Louis would rather play Chicago, which even though they're playing in the exhibition game. Quick, make a prediction.
Out of those teams, who's going to be quote unquote the highest?
Yes. You're doing a great job, Alex.
Well, it's a dumb ask. It's
I got my answer. I'm going Colorado.
I'm going to say Arizona.
Wait, what?
Wait.
No.
Isn't it out of these teams?
No, the round robin. St. Louis, Colorado, Vegas, and Dallas. Those 4
Frick,
teams.
I don't care. Colorado.
Colorado.
Round
Final.
robins are dumb.
Pavel Francouz. Susie, I'm home. Grubauer. Whoever starts, who cares? Colorado's going to get it. I believe in Colorado.
Round robins are so dumb.
They're only dumb if you make them dumb, Alex.
Let's just go to Red Robin and say screw it. After the break, we're going to talk about a little bit of news, and then we'll get into the Eastern Conference, talk about some bias with our good buddy Thomas. This is the Keel Show on 12 on Sports.
Esports are here to stay. Go to jazzsports.ag, log into your account, and look for our new esports section on the top of your screen. Browse through all the different available matches and watch them live with our exclusive esports betting platform. Get instant access to game results, pending and graded bet reports, outright bet types, and upcoming match schedules, all at the easy reach of your fingertips. Jazz Sports puts you in the game.
Drink Aid, ready for distribution worldwide.
And we are back here on The Keel Show on 12 Ounce Sports. Make sure to use the hashtag TKS at The Keel Show to get involved in the conversation if you are not already. Now, we just talked about the Western Conference. Now we'll get to the Eastern Conference, kind of going a little bit left to right, if you will, kind of like reading a book, telling a story, if you will. One guy that has a lot of stories, though.
Well, not
specifically talk a story that he could tell his kids about being in the Six Timers Club of the Keel Show.
The Six Timers Club, the elite of the elite. Finally tied himself up with Harrison Watt, and probably the best picture we've had for a guest here so far. Ladies,
I mean, it's a solid photo.
It's a beautiful picture. Ladies
Well,
and gentlemen. Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
we didn't even introduce you yet.
You're right. Sorry. Got to be quiet. I'm new.
Ladies and gentlemen, voice of Davenport hockey, or at least one of the many voices, the best one.
Oh, okay.
Also, just a beautiful man all around. A ladies' man, and he's a gentleman as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Biondo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And honestly, I tried to find the most serious picture that I could, and basically that was the most serious picture that I could find. So there you go.
I'm proud of that. Was that the first, or was that the second season you and I were working together? Because that was a Jennifer Forrest picture, Jaden's mom, right?
No, I actually think that was a Cody Walsh's mom picture.
Really? So that was before.
I think your memory is far superior to mine, as we have discussed many times, but I believe that she was the one that had given me that little thingy-mabob that I'm wearing, and I believe that she was the one that took the picture.
I'm not surprised. Well, there was the one, because I remember one of the years, it was the year she gave me that old Davenport the pullover, and she took a photo, and you're just like, I'm doing analysis. I'm seriously working a women's hockey game with Thomas. And next thing you know, here's over here doing a photo op with like a face, like his mouth's open. He's like, hey, kind of like what I do, I guess. But yeah,
we can get distracted pretty easily.
Well, I mean, there was the Adrian game from this past season, which I don't think we even talked about the game in the last third period.
No. Hey, you got to keep listeners entertained, much like you guys do during the whole course of your podcast.
That's true.
That is true. We tried our best.
Our content is not always the best, but the entertainment value, that's where it's at.
Says all of our diehard viewers.
That's it. That's what you got to do. Just entertain me. Sometimes it doesn't have to be good. I just want to be entertained.
We know what sells, and in this case,
what we do?
Whoa,
we know what sells.
I don't know. That's always just a weird sentence, no matter where it was going.
Oh, we know what sells on this podcast. It's entertainment.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Tangents and tangerines.
And second string leather. And mybookie.com over there. My point? No, right here. I'm trying to get the sponsors.
You're trying to get the plug in there, aren't you?
I'm getting the plug, man. There's some outlets down here. We got a big plug strip. Plug it.
Fair enough.
You know, you guys also did a really, really good job segue. I wanted to mention that there was a segue in there that was fantastic, and it's already gone. I forgot what it was, but just a fantastic segue early on in this broadcast, or early on in my segment of this broadcast. Let's put it that way.
You know, it's funny.
So good work there.
Thomas has a really good job of remembering things, but then forgetting obvious things. Like the first game you and I ever did together back in 2014. That moment means a lot to me, and you forgot it.
Oh, you're so sad.
Yeah, he is, and because let's face it, he was like the fourth different guy that had called the game with me. Like I knew he was going to stick around forever. What do you want from me?
He's got a point.
Here's the true thing, Tyler. Sometimes you just need to remember the things that you want to remember, or things that are actually valid. Like the one time where we did your bachelor party and we went to what was it, Hopcat before the Griffins game.
Speaking of Rubens,
I remember the first thing that Thomas got to drink was the same thing that I got.
The Rubeus.
It wasn't a Rubeus. It was I think it was a pear cider. That's what he got. That was the first thing that he drank. I don't know why I remember that, but I do.
That was a great. That was a fun
It's
time.
the little things. You don't have to remember every single thing in the world, but the things that you do remember, it's got character.
I have to remind myself that
You're very welcome, Thomas.
I have to remind myself that Thomas. That was an eye-opening night because Thomas had never really been to a minor league sporting event. It's like we got
I had not.
we had Griff, we had Finn, we had mascots, and he's from Detroit, so he sees the Lions, Tigers, the Wings, Pistons, all that stuff. So he's used to major pro sports where there's no dumb gimmicks. Whereas minor leagues, it's like fireworks and hot dog cannons and T-shirt slingshots.
Let's be careful with the word dumb because I had an absolute blast.
Well,
I loved every second of it.
Dumb, like you know what I mean, Alex? Like just crazy.
It's not dumb. It's fun. It's not as serious. Let's be honest. When we're comparing minor league sports to professional sports, let's just take Grand Rapids versus Detroit. As far as mascots go, Grand Rapids wins. They have a pig in a tube.
A pig in a flotation tube.
They have 2 river rascals. They've got 2 mythological creatures as griffins, and then Detroit has
a tiger.
A tiger, yes.
A horse for the Pistons.
No.
Don't they have the piston?
They had Hooper. Yeah, Hooper's it's a type of, it's like meant to be like a Mustang / horse type kind of thing. Yeah.
Like the logo.
Well, yeah, because like horsepower kind of thing.
The logo they had in the mid '90s, the green, the teal color.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then they have a lion. That's it.
Yeah.
The lion and the tiger are not gimmicky at all. It's just the mascot. And then the piston thing, it's like, it's because horsepower. That's the most fun that they have.
To be fair, that is pretty much the difference between professional sports. One of the differences between the professional leagues and the minor leagues is that there are no crazy fun professional teams. There's no lug nuts and river rats, and there's none of those things in the professional.
River rascal to you, sir.
And honestly, the Kraken might be the closest thing that we have to a minor league name. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to slam it. I'm just saying, in terms of kind of, because it's different. How many Cardinals? There's 5 professional Cardinals, and if you look at all the birds, half the league, a quarter of the mascots and the professionals are birds. Yeah, they mix it up a little bit. Sea creatures are very underrepresented, and sea monsters are underrepresented, and now they get to add one.
See, that's part of the reason why I think that I like that they went with the Kraken, because
just don't put a person inside a Kraken suit. That's all I ask. Just don't do that.
I don't know if they'll do a Kraken suit, because here's the thing about the Kraken. It's the mythology around it. You can't really see it until, you're not there anymore kind of thing. Because, think about it. When you're trying to market a team from kind of an entertainment aspect, you can never do a promo video like they did. If your team name was the Metropolitans, you just take pictures of the city. You can't do that with a team like the Rangers. A team like the Rangers, what do? You go based on history. And you're like, oh yeah, we're in New York. That's it. We've had a team forever. Seattle, new team. Dark water, ambiance, the ports, picking up this goal light from out of nowhere,
and then having the big carrier ship as be the goal horn.
Yeah, see?
I'm for it.
I'm okay with it. I said at first I was
okay with it.
I was like, that's fine. At least not a foghorn, because you can't have a foghorn in the same division. You can't have 2 foghorns, because that's what Anaheim has.
It's different, but yet it's still something that has a cool mascot, but it's not. It doesn't jump the shark. It's got a lot of really good. It's a very well done, nice job kind of thing.
You mean jump the sharks in the standings, maybe, Alex? Hey, Thomas.
Yeah,
hey.
No, I set you guys up to take that one. There were so many different options for you guys there. I'm just glad that you guys took one of them, any of them, and walked through the door with it. Good work.
It was just too easy.
Well, it's a Kraken. It might as well just eat the shark at that point.
Well, you know what? It does whatever it wants. It's a Kraken.
I'm here to help you.
Well, he's here to help. About what? We don't know.
I'm just saying, one thing that could have been a name, it could have been the Whales.
No, there's already that would you want to make everyone in Hartford mad.
You want to know why?
That's how you make people mad.
The Seattle Whales, and then as a mascot, like an on ice mascot, they should have Ishmael. From Moby Dick. Call me Ishmael.
They could have combined everybody and then used the Gordon's Fisherman Islanders logo with the whales. so that you're combining the Hartford Whales and the old Islanders logo and throwing that together.
It just sounds like
create just a mishmash of different sort of logos. That would have been something.
That's Seattle Aquatics.
That is an awful beer league team right there. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, truth. That is what that is. That's exactly what that is.
Now let's go on to teams that have less fun names. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens. This is going to be the first series that we'll talk about. Pittsburgh, fifth seed, Montreal being the 12th seed, Penguins going into the series 40, 23, and 6. Habs being 31, 31, and 9. Gosh, I like it when numbers work out, 31 and 31.
The only 500 team in the playoffs, or
like we
at
said
500.
Earlier in the show, the season, as far as the regular season goes, does not always correlate to what could happen. Now, Thomas, we'll start off with you. You look at the Penguins starting lineup, and you look at how deep that they can be. And you look at Montreal and how they've started to build players and getting more people in there. And Carey Price actually deciding to play instead of staying home with his family. What's your initial reaction when you look at this series as far as the play-in round?
You mentioned the name. I mean, if it's not the Carey Price show, this is going to get ugly quickly. I just don't think that the Canadians are going to be able to keep up / shut down the Penguins. I mean, they got 4 guys this year that are averaging over a point per game in Pittsburgh between Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, and Rust. They're all projected to play, all back from injury. We didn't even mention guys like Zucker, Hornquist, and Marlowe. I just think that the Pittsburgh's too much. So when you say something, when you say, okay, this series, what's it going to come down to? Carey Price is going to have to be the best version of Carey Price has ever Carey Priced for this to be any sort of series of any length.
That is the long and the short of it. I mean, and everyone has to remember, everyone's like, oh, Crosby's only got 47 points. He's still a point-a-game player. He got hurt, and the Penguins were even better without him. That's why Brian Russ had such a great year this year. And
Evgeny Malkin was very good without.
Malkin, seriously. He's 1.35 points per game, 74 and 55. It's a shame. I mean, he well on his way to well over 100 points. I mean, he would have. I don't know. He was in a different planet, and Gunsel 20 and 39 games. You figure he was headed for a 40-goal season if he stays healthy and is playing with his mates. There's just so much depth on that team up front, and to have to be shut down by, I don't know if Petrie, Weber, and Sherratt are enough up front.
Oh.
It's if it's not Carey Price, then like I said, this more than any other series is the most likely in my book, especially out east, that could end in 3. I think all the other ones really have a 4 or 5 game potential. This one won't be surprised if it ends in 3, unless Carey Price is, like I said, and it's just, I mean, I hate to make it so simple and sound so, rocket analysis, goalie needs to be good. Well, I mean, in this series more than any other series, yes. Carey Price needs to steal the show.
Kind of going off what you're talking about. I mean, when you just look at team to team, player to player, line to line, I mean, Montreal really has, maybe 2 full lines that they can really depend on as far as, trying to get some sort of productivity out of them as far as, when you're just looking at the forwards. Pittsburgh has a lot more. Even, Patrick Marleau, he's a little bit older, but he still has solid hands. His defensive awareness is off the charts as far as just being able to know the game. And one thing, I don't know if this is completely accurate, but dailyfaceoff.com has the line combinations up for the Montreal Canadiens as far as the forwards go, and Max Domi is listed on the 4th line with Jordan Wheel and Dale Weiss.
Now, don't forget, Alex, he just joined the team recently. He wasn't there at the beginning of Phase 3. He wanted to wait to see if he could actually go out and play because he is a type 1 diabetic, which does put him at a bigger health risk for the COVID-19. But I said this last week, having Max Domi in the lineup, doesn't matter where you put him, That does, I'm not going to say gives the Habs any sort of edge, but it does help because they have that little bit of nastiness that Domi has. Something he picked up from his dad is that grit, that grind, and here's the difference. Domi's got hands. Not hands of stone, not like his dad. He actually has hands that can really put the puck in the net. Now, is he going to light up? Well, I don't know who's going to start with Pittsburgh. We'll ask that here in a second, but
I'm going to say Matt Murray here.
Well, hold on. We'll get to it. But I think I don't want everyone to just say it could, like I said, it's got to be Carey Price. If he doesn't play well, that's it. If he plays well and you have guys like Max Domi, because confidence from a goaltender will absolutely just run through the entire lineup. If Carey Price, game one, win or lose, if he stops like 48 of 50 and the Habs lose 2-1, I guarantee you that the Habs will feel so much better coming out of that game than they would a 3-0 loss where they just get outplayed mercifully. If they can get outplayed and Carey Price steps up, that'll be like, hey guys, our goaltender's given it all he's got. We should step up for him as well, and that'll make game 2 an interesting series. Or make it interesting.
And the other thing, kind of right along those lines, and I really believe this in. You mentioned what your goaltender can do for the team out in front of them. I kind of go the other way. Is what a good goaltender can do to the other team in terms of frustration. True. And especially when these series are this best of 5 format, where boy, you can't afford to fall behind here. You gotta get going, and you gotta be good off the get. And the last thing that you want to do is fall behind one of these series. So if Price comes out and has a 20 save first period, and they're down 2-0, let's say, they being Pittsburgh, they're already going to have a little bit of that, oh boy, and so it's just something to keep in mind too, is that it's not just from the confidence that a goalie can give a team, it's the confidence that a goalie can take away. If Pittsburgh really starts feeling, oh boy, they fall behind and they can't seem to beat Price, that can get in your head in terms of gripping the stick a lot harder. And you can't make the easy play because you're trying to make the perfect play too much.
Right, that is a very valid point. And, I've been kind of thinking, especially in a series like this, where you do have two, I would say, somewhat solid teams. And like you said, Carey Price is going to have to be a key factor in this. But if you try to compare this time that we're in right now, coming out of, training camps for all of these teams, you can kind of make an assumption that it's possible that, especially with these, 5-game series, that the teams, like they would for a normal training camp going into like beginning of the regular season or preseason, the teams that just have they have the most pure skill will probably come on top, or at least for the first couple of games, just on the basis that, not all of these players, if not any of them, have been playing at game speed for over a couple weeks. There are the certain exceptions where they might have been recovering from an injury. I know that a couple of the Maple Leafs were able to train during all of this because they were nursing injuries and able to rehabilitate those.
Also, some were in Sweden, which is the ice have been open there for a while.
Right.
Yes, which was an interesting kind of dynamic as to how this was going to go too. I found that to be very interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, you just kind of look at each of these teams, and one thing, it's going to be Carey Price. How is he going to do? How is Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby? Are they going to be playing at that same caliber? But another thing you got to put in there is which team has the most pure talent that can steal those first couple games before that that aspect of possibly getting taken down by Carey Price, taking 20 shots in the first period, and possibly having a 2-0 deficit for the Penguins.
Yeah, believe me, that's not the likely situation. I really don't, given what you said, given the talent level. You look at the rosters and you think, how many Penguins would you choose if you were to just start going through the rosters and you were having a fantasy draft just between the two teams? How far down the list would you get before you picked a Canadian forward?
Yeah, it's
Crosby, Malkin, and Gensel are pretty much guaranteed to go 1, 2, 3. You can make an argument for Zucker and Hornquist. Probably Drouin would be next. Gallagher is a pit bull, and Tatar is basically exactly what he was all those years in Detroit. But I I just don't know exactly how they're going to be able to keep up with them. It's just going to be a real tough way to go.
Before we get the predictions, Thomas, who do you think goes in net for Pittsburgh? That's a real big question because Tristan Jarry was an all-star before he got injured right before the break.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think gets the call for the Pens?
I think you're going to see I think they're going to go with Matt Murray, and I think they're going to go with Matt Murray on a short leash.
Yeah,
I think if he does not play well, I think you will see him go. And I know you guys just talked about the West, kind of how, despite the numbers, I actually still think Pekka Rinne will go for Nashville. I think in this kind of thing, you're going to go with the guy that you feel like in the majority of most of the time has been there, done that, and get you there. So I think Pittsburgh will go with Matt Murray.
Man, though, Tristan Jarry's had such a great year. He's got the ninth best goals against average, 2.43 goals against, 9.21 save percentage, which is 8th. Matt Murray's not even close. Matt Murray is dang near, okay, I want to say having Andrei Vasilevsky numbers, but it's not nearly as good.
But Matt Murray shows up when it comes to playoffs.
Except remember the second year they won it, Alex? He pulled his groin during warmups.
That
just saying.
Freak accident.
He just didn't. Anyways, but yeah, I agree. I think Murray goes game one just because he is the guy that's won the 2 cups. But if he has any slip up, hello, Jarry.
That being said, now let's get a prediction. So Thomas, Pittsburgh versus Montreal. Who do you have winning the series? And if you can, pinpoint in how many games? Your options are 3, 4, or 5.
I'm going to go with what I said. I think it's going to be Pittsburgh in 3. I think this will be the only series that is a sweep, and I think Pittsburgh will get it done just because too much offensively. It's not like they're lagging defensively, and they really have a been there, done that goaltender as well as a goalie who was an all-star. So, I mean, they just have everything going the way everything looks good for them. I don't see him falling on hard times. I think Pittsburgh wins this 1 in 3.
I would have to agree with that. Pittsburgh in 3. Montreal gets the first overall pick. And
oh my gosh, Alexis Lafreniere in Quebec, dude.
I'm saying.
That's
that's
there.
What I'm saying.
You want to talk about marketing, Alex? Alex, you could market the Habs. That's how easy the job would be for you.
Oh, I wouldn't have to. I would just say we have a French player in a French province. You're welcome.
Yeah, that'd be one of the few places where he could go that actually wouldn't bother me. The Canadians winning ending up winning the lottery. That actually wouldn't drive me nuts. There are certain teams that if they get knocked off and then win the lottery, that would floor me. The Canadians doing it wouldn't necessarily be one of them because I think the Canadians are in this because they needed the extra team.
Yeah,
I mean that's just how I feel. They obviously had to get a 12th team, and I think if this was a normal situation, Montreal does not. I mean, obviously they don't get in as a 12 seed, but I just mean if they could have found a way to do it with 11, they would have done it with 11. Montreal, kind of just based on numbers, doesn't really belong. And now that I've said that, made my prediction, they'll sweep Pittsburgh. But I'm going to stand by what I said.
Well, I'll tell you this,
Tyler. What's your guess?
If Montreal sweeps Pittsburgh, Chicago sweeps Edmonton still wins the first overall pick. Just saying.
Oh, of course. Well, that's hockey 101.
Pittsburgh, though, got Alexis Lafreniere.
The world would riot.
Alexis Lafreniere on the wings of Sidney Crosby. Oh my Lord. Holy cow. Anyways, you know what? I have faith in Carey Price. I say he gets 1. Carey Price wins one game literally by himself. He brings it to the red line and shoots it on goal, and it somehow skips by Matt Murray. That's what gets Murray the boot for the rest of the playoffs. Jarry starts the rest of the way for the Penguins. Penguins, though, in 4.
Penguins in 4.
Okay.
Carey Price, the 1 goal for the Canadians. They win 1-0 because that's just how the game's going to go.
3 guesses for the Waddle boys.
Goaltender will win the game by himself in every way.
All right.
Clearly.
So the next series that we have is near and dear to my heart.
Near and dear to your heart, Alex. Why?
Because
why could it be, Alex?
It's the Carolina Hurricanes versus the team that said that they were going to tank last year, the New York Rangers.
Yeah. And then they got Tammy Panarin, and they're like, well, we're good again, guys. Let's go.
Yep.
So, obviously, I have a lot of skin in the game as far as this one goes. You know, you talk about Sebastian Aho, which
you got the same amount of skin as anyone else does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness, Tyler. You are completely sufferable.
4 hours of sleep and coffee, man. It's a wonderful combination.
Sebastian
You're
Aho.
completely sufferable. Is that what you said? That's amazing.
Well, he's not
Okay, I'm sorry.
insufferable. He's completely sufferable.
I just make
got
everyone
it.
suffer.
That's really funny. Okay, good. Well done. Well
Calm
done.
down. Thomas, you okay over there?
See, this is why I like Thomas. Me and him were on the same page here.
We could
You're
have
in
a-
a different book in
we-
a
yeah, we
different
both-
genre.
We could have a 5-hour
both don't
show
like
with
you.
Thomas. If we didn't have a time limit till 8:30 tonight, we could be going till 11, probably.
That's probably
Yeah,
true.
it's kind of true, probably.
Anyways, Alex,
Yes. So
host, ring us in.
Carolina, you've got just beautiful talent up front. Sebastian Aho, Sveshnikov, Teravainen. You have a decent duo in between the pipes between Mrazek and Reimer, with Mrazek more likely than not getting a majority of the games, if not all of them, during this playoff run. Versus you look at the Rangers, you have Panarin, you have Ryan Strome, you have Zibanejad, and you also have this question of how many, it's not of whether or not, it's amount of how many games Henrik Lundqvist is going to play. So, Tyler, I'll start with you this round. Looking at this right now, do you think that New York has the ability to keep up with Carolina?
They won all 4 games this year. The Rangers did.
That is true.
It's so tough because when we talked to Luke DeCock a couple weeks ago of Raleigh News and Observer, it's just so crazy. They've won 10 of the last 12 meetings. Last year, where they went the team split the series 2-2. But the Rangers, for the better part of, I know the Canes have not been the best in the division, whether it be the Metro Division or whatever part of the conference, but the Rangers have dominated the Canes for probably the last half decade, maybe longer. Like I said, Canes have struggled mightily at times. They've had Cam Ward since 06, so they were pretty bad for a while. But the Rangers have still been able to be consistent, even this season, with the Canes having more expectations, being a better team on paper. The Rangers, with the help of Lundqvist, who went 3-0 this year against the Canes, have been able to dominate the better Carolina team. They have Panarin, 95 points. Panarin, Ted Lindsay Award nominee. It's hard. You can't. This is, Alex, the epitome of the Nashville, Arizona series we previewed with Harrison later. You cannot count the lower seed out of this playoff series.
You can't.
And you can't just say that the top seed is going to have an easy time. The Rangers could sweep the Canes. The Canes could sweep the Rangers. The Canes have to find out how to beat the Rangers first, but I digress. This could be a really tight series. You got to go with Lundqvist just because on his recent, I give him 2 games. If he plays, unless he plays horribly in the first game. If Lundqvist plays well in game 1, you give him another game because he's had such a great record against the Canes. Georgiev may be the next guy. He may be the future of the Rangers goaltending. This may be a John Van Beesbrook, Mike Richter goaltending controversy, which, yes, I am that young, but I know all about that controversy, given that it was actually 1 year before I was born. Regardless, I think you give Lundqvist the go, and if he plays well, Rangers have a shot. You're right. If the Canes win game 1, then it may be a different story. Thomas, your thoughts?
Well, in these 5 games, in the 5 games, and all these playing series, whatever you're going to call them, our minds are thinking, okay, well, playoff hockey and one goaltender. I don't think it's going to be really that surprising at all if we see multiple goaltenders in a lot, if not all of these series, because you really do want to get both of your netminders some ice time here in these play-in games, because if there is an injury, or COVID, you're going to need your next guy, and you don't want that guy to go without seeing any live ammo, especially the deeper you get. Like, for instance, if let's look at, and you guys, Carolina's really a great example. If they start with Mrazek and he wins the first 2, there is going to be some pressure, I really feel, and maybe I might be on an island here and I don't really care. I think there's going to be some pressure to get Reimer in there at some point, because you don't want to start getting, what if they make a run to, they're up 2-0 in the conference semis, and then Mrazek goes down, and now Reimer hasn't played in 6 months. We're up to 6 months and he hasn't played, or would it be 5, whatever the case is. You're going to see, I think, a lot of multiple goaltending in these series. Now, the original question is, can the Rangers? I think the original question was actually, can the Ranger forwards keep up with the Hurricane forwards? And I think the answer there is yes. I also really like the fact that Chris Kreider is going to be back. That is a blessing for the Rangers. That is the best thing that's happened to them.
It's a scary thing
or
for the
best thing that's going to come out for them with this. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a scary thing for the Canes goaltenders because Kreider just runs into everything that has leg pads on it. So
yeah.
Is David Ayres in the bubble? Do we know if David Ayres is in the bubble?
He is in Toronto.
I don't know if that helps or not because he may need to play.
I mean, it's so with the top four, yeah, they're skilled. What I like though is that Carolina's defense. I mean, yeah, they're going to be without Hamilton. I mean, see, they're still without Hamilton. Let's put it that way. They haven't. I don't think they've ruled him out forever. They just said he's not ready to go now. Correct.
And they're saying weeks, but it does not have to do with the broken leg that he hurt earlier this year, according to Sarah Sivian on the tweeter from a couple of days ago.
They were smart. They went out at the deadline. They got themselves Sammy Vatanen and Brady Shea pretty much just for that scenario that they knew that if Hamilton was down for any length of time, they've got bodies to go with. Pesce, Gardner, Fleury, Edmondson, Slavin, all those guys, and then you throw in the other two. I think that Carolina is going to be too deep defensively for the Rangers, and I think that that's what's really going to help Carolina through this series.
I can concur with that. I mean, they got a guy like Vincent Trocheck in there, and they do have Fleury and whatnot. This could be a really interesting series. But you're right. I would say in terms of depth and obviously very recent experience, you got to give it to the Canes. Artemi Panarin, he does have the experience. Zibanejad had a couple of runs there with Ottawa back in the day, but nothing really surmountable experience. And I guess you could say the same thing with Panarin for the most. I mean, no. Then again, Panarin did win a Stanley Cup. I have to remind myself. It seems like forever ago with Chicago, but you gotta like the Canes' chances, but you can't ignore the Rangers' chances.
Right. Well, I think Thomas, one probably. I mean, you have a lot of great points. You always do. But one of your better ones was the fact that there might be a lot of pressure after the second game to possibly get Reimer in there because, you know, when you're just looking at the East for the 10-day qualifiers, this is an image from Jason Greger on Twitter. There's two series that have actual back-to-back games, so one after the next.
Yeah, of the first three games at least.
Of the first three games. So Carolina, game 2 is August 3rd, game 3 is August 4th. And obviously, and the other one, which is I think the next series that we'll talk about, is the Florida New York, the Islanders series, which is August 4th. They have a game, and August 5th they have a game. So I do think that's a very valid point where, you know, especially when you're playing 3 games in the matter of 4 days, do you really want to keep Mrazek in there for that third game, or do you try to see if Reimer can pick up that last, third game? That is if it goes, and stays within 3 games, or it goes past. Thomas, Now I'm going to get the hard answer from you. Do you think that Carolina or New York has the better hand in this, and in how many games?
I'm going to go with Carolina, which I hate the fact that I'm taking 2 top seeds because it just doesn't work out that way. But I am going to take Carolina, and like I said, I like their defense versus on the other side, 2 youngsters and Tony DeAngelo and Adam Fox are likely to see the most of the ice time. Trouba and Stahl have some experience in the playoffs. They're just not. Trouba's still a very good player. Stahl, obviously not what he once was. I just like the depth that Carolina has versus the Rangers, who are going to have to go with 2 kids, probably with the majority of the ice time. Then there's Trouba, and then you start a pretty steep drop-off for the Rangers defensively. So I think Carolina gets it done. Rangers will get 1. This will go 4, but I think Carolina gets it done.
I'm curious to know. Well, actually, your prediction first, because we all know how you're.
I'm going to go with Carolina, but
Really?
I'm actually going to go Carolina in 5.
Ooh.
I think that
Tim Allen. Ooh.
I think the fact that they have to play, 2 games back to back is going to throw a wrench in the system. So I think it's going to be a matter of Carolina's going to get the first 2. Rangers is going to get the third one. It's going to mess with the Hurricanes' heads a little bit. And, the Rangers will get one more, take it to 5, and then Carolina can pull it out in the end. Tyler?
I will say this. Whoever wins game 1, their backup will go in game 2. Whoever loses game 1 will stick with, or will switch. No, excuse me. Whoever wins game 1, they'll bring their starter for game 2. Whoever loses game 1 will put their backup in. So say Carolina loses game 1, James Reimer gets game 2. You give Mrazek back for game 3, unless Reimer has a stellar game. But you're going to see some flip-flopping and goaltending. But the depth will be so important for the Canes. However, it's 2020, Alex.
It is.
And despite the Canes not winning a single game in the regular season, they will win a game in the playoffs. They'll win 2 games in the playoffs. The Rangers, Alex, with Panarin
Really?
and Zibanejad.
Okay.
And if Lundqvist can be, yes, he's not young Lundqvist from 2010. He's not the 2012 Lundqvist that really took the Rangers from 2 wins till a cup final. He's not the 14 Lundqvist that said, all right, guys, we're going to play against the Kings, so help me goodness. Even though Carey Price got hurt in the conference finals. But I digress because of Chris Kreider. In 5 games, you'll see both Georgiev and Lundqvist. You'll see both Mrazek and Reimer.
Who's going to win?
Rangers in 5.
Well, Tyler, it may be 2020, but I don't see why you went against the Hurricanes.
Oh, my
That's a good one.
gosh.
Yeah,
I was going to title this show Playoff Preview, but it's since become Segway City.
Segway City isn't a bad one, though.
I know, but I want to have a title that actually explains what we're trying to do here, and we're struggling.
Well, we're segueing.
We're segueing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's playoff Segway City. I don't have a problem with that.
What about
I love it.
What about segues through the hub cities? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't go outside the hub, Alex. Why would you ride a Segway around the hub? It's kind of dumb.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Let's just.
I'm pulling this back together. Let's get the ship back on board here.
Thank you, Thomas. Next
Yeah.
one that we will talk about here is the good old New York Islanders versus the Florida Panthers. Islanders 35-23-10, 5th in the Metro going into this series. Panthers 35-26 and 4th in the Atlantic.
Just shows how deep, once again, how the Metro just controls the East.
Now,
Yep.
I look at this series as it's really Varlamov / Grice versus Bobrovsky. Because I look at I look at the 2 offensive forces, and maybe this is just a personal view. I mean, obviously, Thomas, Tyler, you may have different opinions on this.
Probably will.
But I don't think that it's going to be a matter of scoring as it's a matter of goaltending, because there's going to be goals going both ways.
A lot.
I can see it's going to be high scoring. This might be, as far as the play-in series, this may be the highest scoring series of them all, East and West. That being said, I think it's just going to be a matter of who stops more pucks. Thomas, we'll go with you first. You look at the Islanders: Matthew Barzal, Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Josh Bailey. You look at the Panthers: Huberdeau, Barkov, Hoffman, Bobrovsky. Your thoughts when you look at this series, straightforward.
I think that this one, more than really any other one, we went through the first 2 series and didn't mention coaching. And now in this one and the next one, I'm absolutely going to mention coaching. Barry Trotz, I love what he did. Obviously, Cup winner from Washington 2 years ago. The defensive style really bode well with the Islander team this year or last year, where didn't I believe Grice and Varlamov, did they not win?
That was Leonard.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
Still, they, winners of the Jennings. I think that is going to be kind of a good X factor. The defensive structure, which will help the Islanders as much as any of the offense versus offense. It's going to be the defensive-minded head coach that kind of helps steer the ship for the Islanders.
you got to concur with that because
It's a very good point.
that's you're
Like,
you're just sucking up to
no,
the guest
no,
over-
I'm sorry, but it's you have to be honest with yourself though. It's a point that we talked about every single series in this entire show. Not once did we talk about coaching. Not once.
Well, and I have weird feelings towards coaching. I don't know how much
Gonna call in Phil Sweeney right now. Phil, what do you think?
No, but Phil, see that's the thing. I mean, that he's kind of the one it's shown me where coaching can be important because I get to talk to him and I get to hear the idea and the this, that, and the other thing. A lot of time at the professional level, I'm just like, where, at the end of the day, goalie got to stop puck. I mean, so much of this just boils down to goalie stop puck, but there's all, getting the matchups and getting things right in terms of, okay, well, their fourth line's out, so now let's get our first on there, and right-handed face-off guys versus left-handed, and just all those kinds of things. And Barry Trotz, all those years with Nashville, gets the cup in Washington. I just think that's the kind of thing that's just so important. This series and the next one, I think coaching too will come up, and it has to come up. But I like what Barry Trotz brings to the table, and I think that could be his scheming, his ability could really be what helps slow down the Florida defense or the Florida offense. Excuse me.
Because look at it this way: we're not going to knock Joel Quenneville because that guy is going to be in the Hall of Fame as soon as he decides to stop coaching. Because there's no question he's one of the best coaches in the history of the game. That said, you can't. The coach isn't stopping the puck. He's not. Sergei Bobrovsky has just been abysmal. These are his worst numbers since the 11-12 season when him and Berzgalov were looking at the stars and the moon during the HBO series leading into the stinking Winter Classic. But that said, if the offense can step up, if Huberdeau, Barkov, if those top guys can really play a factor in the series, if they are lighting it up against the Islanders, they're able to break through that defensive structure, Florida has a chance. Because, I'm sorry, guys, Bobrovsky, he's not Bobrovsky of last season. Bobrovsky of last season, with a couple of goals here and there by the Blue Jackets, were able to give the Eastern Conference champion Boston Bruins a run for their money. That's not Bob this year. He's not. Gosh, $10 million.
Here's a little nugget, and I don't have these numbers in front of me, but there's something you got to remember here, and this is very interesting about this time off, is that the reason why Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur, guys like that were as good as they were was because they did it every year. The greats are consistent. The goods are not. The goods can be great. They just can't do it all the time.
Right.
Well, we basically had an off season. Does that change mindsets / kind of that off year, on year? Are these guys coming back to what would be their on year now? Because Bobrovsky's had some on year, off year, on year, off year, on year, off year in his career. Is he now, because he's had 3 months off, even though they're going into the playoffs, is he going to swing into almost an on year mode now? Just food for thought for you on that.
That's a valid point. And
Bob just comes out and just makes 40 saves, 40 saves, 40 saves. And somehow they win 1-0, 1-0, 1-0.
Well, I don't think it'd be 1-0. It might be like 3-2, 5-4.
Yeah, like I said, or you guys said it. The scoring, there could be score. I can't get over Keith Yandel somehow is even, which is just shocking. But
all-star
I just don't
defenseman
see
Keith Yandel. Just remember that, guys.
Listen, he's had a good year, been great through his career as an offensive defenseman. I just don't see anybody shutting anybody down for any long periods of time in this series.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird series. What do we, Thomas? What are we thinking on this series here? Because I've for some reason, Alex always picked Carolina to be his dark horse. Florida's always been the team I always want to do well. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because
you're a Roberto Luongo fan.
That's probably was my thing.
You also like John Van Beesbrook.
Beezer, I was a Beezer fan. I think that's where I got my Florida fan. I loved Pavel Bure when he was there for a few years. And yes, Roberto Luongo. But now he's not there. And Bob's there. That said, that's why
Roberto Luongo's still there.
Well,
just not
he
as an executive.
He lives down there, yes. I got to go Islanders on this one. I'm going to make the first prediction. Islanders. Oh gosh, if Bob stands on his head, it's the Carey Price thing. If Carey Price plays well, all-world goaltender Carey Price, it's a different series. If Bob plays amazing, Florida has a chance. I just am not too confident this season in Sergei Bobrovsky. Islanders 3. Islanders in 3 games.
Thomas, what is your verdict?
Wow, Islanders in 3.
And
Is that what you said? Tyler? Is that what you said? Islanders in 3.
That is what he said.
If Barry Trotz's defense shuts down the top line for Florida, let's clap our hands, call it a day, and get ready for the next series. I mean, that's how they're going to live and die. Is their offense, Florida's offense. If they can't produce, it's over. I don't think Bob can save them this year.
That's bold, Cotton. That is a bold call.
It is a bold.
See if it pays off.
Again, I'm doing it, and I hate taking constant higher seeds because I know it just doesn't play out that way. I am going to take the Islanders in 5. I think that this one will go the distance. I think that they did the small moves. They made a couple of the move of bringing in Andy Green and Pajot at the deadline. Going to be super big pluses. Barry Trotz behind the bench, and it'll be interesting to see if Keith Bellows didn't play in the last game that they played, but he had 2 goals and assists, 3 points in 8 games played on the year. What will the youngsters do? Will he come up and be a part of it? I would actually expect to see him over Andrew Ladd to be younger, faster, stronger. Those names are going to be the ones that lead the Islanders to a win in 5.
I do have to agree with you there, Thomas. That's going to end in 5.
You're just stucking up to Thomas,
But
aren't you? Oh wow.
Whoa!
I'm gonna
not so fast, my friend.
Whoa!
Where's Lee Corso? Not so fast, my friend.
Lee Corso, not so fast. I'm gonna miss him. Anyways,
Give me that head. Puts on the Panther head because I think the Panthers,
oh man,
Joel Quenneville, and Sergei Bobrovsky. Throw in, like Brian Boyle in there. Why not? I think that's really what's gonna be. It might just be the matter of you have this kind of pseudo off season to kind of put things together to make things just finally figure it out what you are as a team and push forward. I can't say that how well they're going to do in the actual first round, but as far as this one, I think they will squeeze it out. I think I think that at least one of these games though, it's going to go to overtime. At least one of these games is not going to stay within regulation.
Overtime is going to ruin all the schedule. That's going to be hilarious. But
hey, I mean, this is a series where it may just be the fact that, maybe I'll be completely wrong because like I just said a little bit ago,
we got 10 minutes
the Islanders versus the Florida Panthers, they play a back-to-back as well. So if they have like a single overtime or double overtime, Islanders have a solid tandem where they can put in the other goalie. Florida doesn't really have that.
Florida has a goaltender by the name of Sam Montembeau.
To which I say, not a goaltender because I don't know who he is.
It's literally a made-up name. It's a
and I'm pretty sure it'd be Chris Dreger, 7-2 on the year with a 205 goals against average, 938 save percentage.
A goaltender from Springfield.
That's small sample size, but hey, numbers are good. I mean, it's going to be Bob, but what I'm saying is if there's a change, it may not go right to Montembeau. He's only played a couple more games than Dreger, and Dreger started more. So
that's right. Remember, we played in Ottawa for a couple of years. That's why I remember Dreger. Anyways,
so we got 2 for the Isle, 1 for the Panthers.
I'm saying sweep because I'm just gonna, you know what? Just get it over. I got to go one sweep this predictions.
That's fair.
You've
got one, Tyler, Thomas has one. Goodness.
Not a single one in the West, though.
Not a single one in the West. Last, but certainly not least, we have the Hub City Defender Toronto Maple Leafs versus the carriers of the Cannon Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, the Leafs come into this one 36-25-9, Blue Jackets 33-22-15.
Doesn't matter.
That being said, though, Columbus does have John Tortorella, and he might be a little bit upset with the entire situation. So do you think, Tyler, that when you're looking at this, the anger, the wrath of Tortorella will be seeping into the water of his players and shoot them past your beloved Leafs.
I will say I loved his quote when they asked him about having mics on the ice because it could catch, some bad language or whatever. And in the press conferences, I don't give a, you know what.
Yes.
Super hydraulic instantaneous transporter. But listen, Tortorella, yes, he has years of experience by Sheldon Keefe. Cup winner, Olympic coach, World Cup of Hockey coach, World Championship coach. He's done everything there is to do. He will most likely also be a Hall of Fame head coach. Boy, if he can control this series, I still think Tortorella should win. He would be the second coach next to Jacques Demers to be the only coach to win the Jack Adams twice with one team. I think he deserves it. With the team the way it's been this year, Jonas Korpisalo, absolutely phenomenal. Big breakout year for him. Gets hurt. Elvis Merzlikins comes in. Big breakout year for him. And here's the thing. We've watched the Leafs more than any other team. They are inconsistent. They have been great. They have been bad. They have been good. They have been decent. They have beaten the Lightning. They have lost to a Zamboni driver. This team has done everything and the kitchen sink. Austin Matthews, he admitted he didn't admit he had COVID. He was kind of goaded into that because someone reported it, Steve Simmons. And he's not going to be at 100%. Mitch Marner is going to really have to carry this top line. William Nylander's going to have to step up. Ilya Mikheyev had a great camp. He's going to have to be huge this year. I mean, this playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. If Nick Robertson plays, though, I will lose my mind. It'll be awesome. But
he's currently listed on the third line.
Don't give me I'm getting new goosebumps. Nicholas Robertson. I am interested to see. It's going to be the goaltenders, whether it be Korpisalo or Merzlikins. Tortorella's both came out and said, quote, both deserve to play, end quote. Frederik Andersen, if he plays like he does in December, November, where he's at the top of his game, Leafs have a great opportunity. If he plays like he does in October, when they first come back, no, he doesn't coach here anymore. If he comes out like he does in October, we may have another 3-game series. Let's be honest here. Freddie's got to step up. No question about it, because the defense is still young for the Leafs. The Blue Jackets, they have a little bit more seasoned defense, a little bit tougher. That's where it's going to be the big difference, though. Tortorella's tough, defensive, physical team against the young kids who are exciting offensively, but haven't really had to have gone. I mean, they played Boston the last couple of years, so you think they've learned their lesson, but they're not as physical. They're not as strong. And I think that's going to be the big difference in this series is the physicality between the Jackets compared to the Leafs.
That's a valid point, Tyler. Thomas, your thoughts?
I can't take a team seriously that my bigger problem with the loss to Carolina with David Ayers was not the loss necessarily. It was the fact that they were still outshot by 20.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, if there's any game where you have to realize any shot, all angles, we need to just force the play, carry control or gain control and just hit another level, because if we get enough pressure, we're going to score. And to not do that, to not be able to do that, my ability to take Toronto seriously died that game.
I think it died for a lot of people.
I said it for a lot of years. There's no doubting that their forward line, and it kind of got thrown in the wayside, or this lost a little bit when the Golden Knights made a run to the Cup Finals without a real true number one defenseman. Although they also had one of a goalie playing out of his mind, so that kind of offset that. I just don't like, and I think Tyler even said it, I just don't like this defense score. I don't like that there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of dudes. I just don't think that there's that guy that when you need that lockdown, it's there. While on the other side, you could potentially have, you're going to have Ryan Murray, you're going to have Seth Jones is going to be available, you have Zach Werenski. They might have the top 3 defensemen in the series are going to be all playing on with Columbus. And this is the one where again, I don't know, upset in a 9th 8-9 game. I don't really think that a 9 knocking off an 8 is an upset, but I do. I think this is Columbus, and again, I think this one goes 5 as well. But I do think it's Columbus because I just can't trust the Leafs. That David Ayers game really kind of shook me. Not that I necessarily had the most faith in them, but I still just they just still don't have that guy that can play, 27 minutes a night or in an overtime game that goes double overtime that you want to see out there 45 minutes. I mean, I know, you don't, maybe some teams, maybe that's not it. Maybe teams don't want that and they want to be more spread, but just who do you trust in that moment? And like I said, Carolina's got 2 or 3 guys I can trust, and Toronto, I just don't know who if I have one.
Yeah, true.
That is very true. And we'll go on to predictions here because we are running a little short on time. Got about 3 minutes left in the show.
I feel bad.
I'll start off the predictions. What I'll say.
Well, Thomas went 5 for Columbus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 5 for games in 5 for Columbus. I'm going to say the Leafs in 4, purely on the fact that this is a play-in round, but they'll still lose in round 1. Tyler.
This hurts. Every year we've done this is our 3rd playoff, Alex. Every time we pick a series. Last year, so did I pick the Leafs or Bruins in 2018? I think I picked the Leafs.
You picked the Leafs, but you said it's probably not going to happen.
And then last year I tried to do the Kirk Herbstreit deal. I'm just going to talk about, the keys to the series, blah, blah, blah. I got to pick this year.
Still didn't work.
I got to pick this year. I hate to go against my team, Alex, but
just
I have
say it.
Columbus, and I'll be honest, 4.
4.
I don't think
wow.
I don't, like I said with Thomas, I don't have the faith, and I mean I know we got to wrap this up quick, but gosh, good Lord, I just don't think they can do it. And this team needs a kick in the pants like a loss like this. This franchise needs a loss like this, a brutal beating in their own barn.
Yep, because really fast, I do want to add, because I know it drove the city nuts. I didn't really think that there was any shame in losing to Boston either of those 2 years. Sorry, I just didn't.
Either.
I didn't really think there was any shame in that.
My hangover.
I think that they fell victim to the way the playoffs were set up, where they were the 5th best team in hockey and were screwed. I don't want to say screwed over because it's the system, but they had to play the 2nd best team in hockey both years. And I just think that that's a tough place to be, but I don't think that anybody really ever thought they were better than Boston, and I think that kind of sucks for them that they drew them back-to-back first rounds.
True.
That is very true. And that is a great note to wrap up the show on. Coming up next on 12 Ounce Sports, Talking Minors with Biondo. He's going to be talking about the MLB season, or at least the start of it. Tune in next week for our recap of the first weekend of hockey in 4 months. Actually, also, Tyler's going to be on Thursday night for TKS Power Hour, starting at 6 p.m., going to 7 p.m. For Tyler, for Thomas, for Harrison Watt, thank you so much. I'm your host, Alex Keel. We will see you next Monday.